Hello and welcome to episode 25 of the XboxEra podcast. I'm Sikamikanico and I'm joined, as always, by Shpeshal Ed and Kaironaut. How are we doing, fellas?
G'day.
Yeah, hello.
Good. How are you?
I almost said good day, just like
Good
Nick,
day.
You know.
It's not
G'day.
the Queen's English. It's been
Better.
It's been a good couple of weeks in the video game industry. But before it's definitely been interesting. But before we dive into the news of the last fortnight or so, a little moment to celebrate and reflect on our little YouTube site project finally hitting
Milestone?
1,000 plus subscriptions, which means we are
Thanks,
now
everyone.
YouTube partners. That sounds so nerdy. I'm going to edit that into my CV on LinkedIn, in my bio on Twitter. But it's, in a non-silly way, it's a super cool milestone for us to hit. And we're extraordinarily grateful to everybody that has watched us, lived this journey with us for the last
Hats off to everybody who came along.
Yeah, it's been fun, and we're going to keep on trucking. Next milestone that we need to celebrate is 10,000, so there's going to be a while before we celebrate. But no, it's super cool. So thank you to everybody.
The Twitter account's at like over 1,600 now, which is really good.
Yeah, and it's we have to admit we've been out there like hyping, and we've been releasing. If you've been paying attention, we've been releasing some cool little get people hyped up videos and other bits and pieces.
Yeah,
and I'm even representing the brand today with my birthday present from my wife, which took a while.
In celebration of Sony's momentous event, I decided to go with Spider-Man.
Yeah. Well, is it a brand new T-shirt that's been built from the ground up, or is it a kind of small T-shirt that just came off of the line really quickly because you need something?
I don't know. I'm not sure if it's a standalone T-shirt. I don't know if it's a T-shirt that's been re-stitched and resold. I don't know what kind of T-shirt it is.
I'm being incredibly
facetious.
Yes. But yeah, so hey, it's a great segue. So, although this is the Xbox podcast, maybe we'll change the name, because obviously it would be remiss of us not to discuss finally PlayStation and Sony showed us.
Should we talk about what we've been playing first?
Have we? Yeah, we could talk about what we've been playing first. Let's do that. Why not? What have you been playing?
Okay. I've been playing a unique little game which I'm reviewing at the moment called The Last Escape.
Okay.
It's an indie game. It's like $9 Australian, so that's a few cents for you guys. Really, it's an interesting game and a very tricky one to review.
Yeah.
Because it's less of a game and more of an experience. Like, think of something like Gone Home. Would you consider Gone Home like a game, like a traditional game? If you think of Gone Home, it's more in that vein.
Is it like an experience rather than a title with a
flying.
certified beginning and an end?
Yeah.
Yes. And you fly everywhere. The whole thing is you floating and flying through the sky.
Okay.
And it's the first game in history, I think, to use LiDAR technology, that laser scanning technology.
Okay.
So the developer actually took a laser scan of an entire section of landscape of Spain near the border of France.
Okay.
And it's just straight in the game. Like, I see this the same way Unreal's using Quixel and all that. This, I reckon, at some stage is going to start to get used in the same way. Like, as the tech evolves, as the hardware can match what it's doing, I reckon you're going to start to see this tech used a lot. But yeah, I've done my written review. I'm now working on the video review because I am very new to video editing. So I'll see how that goes.
It's a fun experience.
Yeah, and aside from that, I think I've just been playing all the usual stuff. Oh, I bought the 51 worldwide games on Switch.
Oh yeah,
man, that's good.
Is that the chess everything collection?
Yeah,
right?
It's got everything. It's got chess. It's got table tennis. Not table tennis, like foosball and the tennis equivalent of foosball, baseball. Connect Four. It's 51 games. It's really, really, really good. Loving it.
Well, I've been I've been playing. I've been playing a couple of different bits and pieces. I re-downloaded Halo Wars 2 on PC because I really need to actually see that one through. Sea of Thieves, as always, which is having a bumper time on Steam. Congrats to Rare.
It's doing really well.
Day on, day out. It just seems to be increasing. I find it somewhat frustrating, though, that I'm not seeing that fully translated into the game yet, but I know that the developers are working on some stability updates and other things. But yeah, there's still issues. One thing I have noticed, though, is that as soon as a server empties, which after we've sunk everyone, it swaps us straight away to a new server, which is either a blessing or a curse, depending upon what time in the morning it is and how much stuff we've got on the actual deck of the ship. But amusingly this week, my wife's addiction to Animal Crossing continues with fervour. And a couple of days back, midweek, I think, I'd just finished work, so I'd walked into my house probably like 6 p.m. from here, and my daughter was in our bedroom, and I'd kind of gone to the bathroom, and then I just heard stunk. Oh, daddy, like that, and I was like, what? And I go in, and she's like, oh no, she's got the oh no face on, as parents will know what that face is you're going to be mad. And indeed, my wife had left the switch plugged into her phone charger up high on the side of our bed.
Oh,
and my kid had yanked the cable, and the right-hand Joy-Con had the bit that slots into the switch. The catch had snapped. The whole of the right-hand Joy-Con had come away. All of the motherboard connectors, the kind of like a plastic thing that slides in, all snapped and busted. You could play, but you couldn't plug them in or anything anymore. And I did not have the necessary security tools to take it apart and try and
fix it.
So I had to begrudgingly spend 90 quid because nowhere in the entirety of the UK had a set in stock for a reasonable price, and even then the reasonable price for a set of Joy-Cons is $69.99.
Does Nintendo not have a headquarters in the UK?
I don't know.
Because they do in Australia,
Yeah.
and it's in Melbourne, not far away from me.
Well, if they'd been close to me, I would have marched there with a placard. But it bugged me, and I had to spend an astonishing amount of money on on another set of Joy-Cons just so she could keep her addiction going. But it is what it is.
Oh, so the Switch is okay. It was the Joy-Cons.
It was just the Joy-Con had literally snapped off at the seams.
Oh, that's not so bad.
So it wasn't,
that's not as bad.
Wasn't terrible, but yeah, I said to my wife, it's got a dock with a charging point in it for a reason. Please return it to its approved receptacle.
Just get her a Switch Lite.
She said, I need my own Switch. And I was like...
They're so silly. The Switch Lite is so pointless, though.
Yeah.
It's so pointless.
It's a non-issue now, but it bugs me having to spend 90 quid.
It's $100 less for people who just want the portable aspect.
And
they don't
that
care
is-
Why
about
would you
plugging
want to
into the TV.
lose? Why would you want to lose all the flexibility of the normal Switch for $100?
Because you don't want to pay the $100. You're fine with a portable system.
I have to say, the wife said to me, like, I've got no interest in sitting in front of a TV. She just wants the put it in my bag, one solid unit.
I reckon you're sacrificing too much.
Yeah.
Way too much.
It is what it is. But what about you, Cairo? You've been playing anything interesting and fun?
New season of Destiny launched on Tuesday last week. Season of Arrivals. So I've been recently getting back into that. It is probably... It's been several months since I've actually dedicated any time to Destiny in any capacity.
Yeah.
Namely because Bungie started dedicating themselves to enhancing FOMO, fear of missing out, in a lot of their content drops, making it so that if you didn't grind 30 hours in a season, you were never going to get to experience the cool thing at the end of the long road. And it's like, wow, thanks. I just wasted money because I can't dedicate all my life to this game.
Yeah. Every game wants to be the only game you play. It's a job now.
But so far, Season of Arrivals has been different, markedly so. It's honestly probably the most fun I've had in Destiny in months. It doesn't really feel like anything is too it doesn't feel like I'll miss out by not participating. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy that it feels like that again, because I really missed getting into that game. It's the only like MMO, and I'm gonna call it an MMO because it's an MMO. And at this point, even Bungie is calling it an MMO. Like they've dropped the whole share world pretense.
Would
you say it's an MMO?
It's an MMO.
So you'd say it's an MMO then?
Massively multiplayer online game. Massively multiplayer? Maybe an MO, multiplayer online, a MOG.
Or maybe
it is an MMO.
Maybe it's a HMO, hugely.
Oh my god. Are we gonna bring up these debates from like the old website over what it is? It is just there's no shared
GMO,
world shooter pretense anymore. It is an MMO. And it's starting to feel like a good one for now. So honestly, it's the only MMO I really dedicated any of my time to in any long-term capacity.
So it's an NSOG.
You'd know this.
Like a non-small
you'd know
online game.
So I recently bought a Surface Book 3, which is what I am on right now, which is why my camera quality has hopefully improved a bit from previous episodes.
Very nice.
Would my Surface Book 3 be able to run Destiny 2, Cairo?
On a 1660 Max Q?
No.
Right?
If I just run it at 1080, could my Surface?
No. I'm talking about your graphics card. You have the 1660 Ti, right?
1660 Ti.
Yes. It can.
Okay. At that,
it's about a 1070.
You can run Destiny. You can run Destiny 2 at 1080p low to medium settings. If you bump that down to 900p, you'd probably get medium to a little high.
Yeah, I think.
Well, my old Alienware was a 6 gig 1060 graphics card, and that could run Destiny at 1080-60. This is the equivalent of a 1070. So theoretically, I should be able to go 1080-60.
From what I've read, the PC version of Destiny 2 is actually pretty well optimized. So
hyper optimized. Yeah. The team they got on that game to make it run on PC and across all those different SKUs is just it's amazing how well that game.
Because I recently jumped on their website and linked all my accounts together and everything. And
in comparison to another game from a developer called Infinity Ward, that is a very massively optimized game. Did you guys enjoy? I know you guys play a little bit of Modern Warfare, but did you guys enjoy the 40 to 80 gigabyte update that happened this past Wednesday night?
I didn't bother with it because I've had unlimited data for years.
Yeah.
No,
so
but
I don't notice it. It's just
I don't play it often enough to be like, oh, there's an update and take forever. So it didn't. I read about it and I thought that's ludicrous, but it is what it is.
So apparently, the 80 gigabyte update on consoles was because they were compressing a lot of file sizes down. So you were re-downloading a lot of the stuff you already had, just compressed, so that when the install was finished, it only took an extra 4 gigabytes of data. But at that point, the game is now over 200 gigabytes.
Almost 200 gig.
Almost 200 on console, over 200 on PC. It is absolutely ridiculous how massive that game is for no reason. No apparent reason. Like, I get it's a new engine. You're still testing how to compress things and make things load pretty quickly. But
such a good engine, though. It is such a good engine.
Please learn faster because the game is too big. I have a 1 terabyte drive in my. I have a 1 terabyte extra drive that I use to put all my games on in my PC. That game takes up by itself about 20% of the drive.
Yeah, it's pretty shocking.
Pretty
shocking. Yeah, it's.
Speaking of my Surface, I started Tactics.
Oh, yes, I saw you downloaded it. Good game. Yeah, I need to finish that as well.
I tried it. I tried mouse and keyboard and controller. I've got a feeling that the delay for the console version is getting those controls right for a controller.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, it's not great with a controller at the moment. No. So I'm assuming that that's what the delay is, to really fine-tune how it plays on a controller. That's my assumption.
Yeah.
Because it's not... technologically, it's not a super advanced game that shouldn't be quick and easy to port. but man, the controls with a controller need serious work. But other than that, it's actually a really cool game. Enjoying it a lot.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So, I know we attempted the segue earlier, but we'll segue again.
Thanks,
Sony finally lifted the curtain and revealed to everyone not only, and I guess I'll be deliberately ambiguous here, what might be some of the launch games, but they also finally showed us the boxes, which came to some surprise.
You can see why they took so long to show us.
Everyone, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
No wonder they were keeping it under wraps for so long.
Yeah, they showed us some games and they showed us some next gen stuff. So we're going to talk it through. But I mean, I think first of all, first topic would be general impressions of the reveal, the production value. How did we feel about it?
Okay.
And I won't start. I'll let one of you guys kick off.
So production value wise, it was really well done. They didn't have people on 240p webcams and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it was nice that it was all pre-recorded.
Yeah.
Yep. In terms of content, we all, or maybe not we, but a lot of people said Microsoft didn't show gameplay. To me, what Sony showed was effectively the same in terms of gameplay versus trailer versus bull shots versus CG versus whatever you want to call it. To me, that seemed basically the same. In terms of content, when it comes to the games being shown, I thought it was much better than the May show. Ratchet and Clank was what I had been hoping for and what I was told would be there, which I tweeted out. And it was there and it was amazing. Like, I don't think that's going to make it for launch, but God, I wish it would. It looked so good, Ratchet and Clank. Kenna looked unbelievable. Absolutely great looking game. Very, almost kind of reminded me a little bit of Cameo in a way, sort of. Just that setting and everything. It looked great.
Ori for me. It reminded me a lot of Ori.
Very, I don't know, almost very Rare-esque to me. What else? I mean, Spider-Man was Spider-Man was whatever it was. Are we still 100% sure what that was? I think it's a standalone, like First Light.
Yeah.
I think so.
If it's an infamous First Light type situation where it's its own smaller version of Spider-Man with a different character, I'm completely on board because I loved First Light. And part of the reason I loved First Light so much was because of how much tighter it was and more focused it was. Because infamous Second Son is boring as. Horizon Zero Dawn looked pretty good.
It's not Zero Dawn though, is it? It's Horizon Forbidden West.
Forbidden West. Sorry. In my head, I've got Horizon Zero Dawn 2, but that's not what it is. It's Horizon 2 Forbidden West.
Yeah.
That looked pretty good. It still looked, I don't know, maybe I was seeing things differently to everyone else. I watched the trailer in 4K on my new OLED. I am now...
You're up to date now. You've got rid of the 1080p plasma.
I'm not with a plasma anymore. I've moved on from plasma. This is my 40th birthday present from my parents.
Hooray!
It's a little bit early. My birthday's next week.
He's 40.
So I've watched all the trailers in 4K. And, I don't know. Horizon still looked like a game to me, if that makes sense. Like, the NPCs still look like they do now. I think water looked like game water. I don't know. It looked good, don't get me wrong, but I think it's a testament to how good Horizon Zero Dawn looks. Horizon Zero Dawn is an incredibly good-looking game, and to me, this just looked like Horizon Zero Dawn if you applied a PS5 patch to it, sort of. I mean, a little bit better than that, but I don't know. When I watched Horizon, it didn't blow me away the way Ratchet did. Ratchet and Clank absolutely blew me away. Unbelievable how that looked. I'm like, okay, that's a game that's on PS5. If you had told me Horizon Zero Dawn was PS4 Pro footage of Oh, sorry, Forbidden West. If you had told me that Forbidden West was like newer DLC for Zero Dawn running on the Pro, I would have believed you.
Yeah.
And again, that's not to say it didn't look good. It did. It looked great. But I don't know. Ratchet and Clank.
I honestly think the highlights of the show. I think the highlights of the show, at least for me, Ratchet and Clank. Let me see. Kenna, Bridge of Spirits.
Yeah,
Kenna was great. The art style looked phenomenal.
Amazing.
Wow, everything about what I saw looked great.
And that's coming out on current gen too. Don't forget.
Yeah.
But
I'm assuming you saw it running on a PS5 or a PC, but that's also coming. So I'd be interested to see how it looks on Xbox One and PS4.
Goodbye Volcano High was another highlight for me because the animated look, like the cartoon animated looked phenomenal to me. I love weird, interesting art styles like that. The whole dinosaurs, dinosaur high school.
Yeah, it
I
was
like the
definitely
art style of
interesting.
Little Devil Inside as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
That had a nice art style to it too.
And I think Deathloop was also cool. Black protagonist, assassins, two assassins fighting each other out. And you have to rewind time to correct your mistakes. That one looked phenomenal. Demon Souls remake. I've never got to play the original Demon Souls, so I'm pretty excited to
I've got it on
get
PS.
to play that. Resident Evil Village.
Yep.
Resident Evil Village looked insane.
Said that would be there.
Insane. What'd you say?
He said that would be there. We'll get to what you said would be there. There's hundreds of angry people right now.
Resident Evil Village looked insane. I can't believe that doesn't even look like a Resident Evil game. That looks like.
Have you played 7?
No,
It looked like 7.
It looked like a different horror game set in 7's engine, but given the Resident Evil name. It looked very old, and its aesthetic and the location it shows. Yeah.
Why was Chris Redfield weirdly chubby though?
He's big boy.
He's a big old boy now. Can they just not decide what he looks like?
They can't ever seem to settle on a look for Chris Redfield. He's
Resident Evil
changed
5,
over 20 years.
Resident Evil 5 Chris Redfield is the best Chris Redfield.
Do you know why they can't settle on a look? Because he's meant to be everyone, man. No, I don't know.
But yeah, I think the standouts of the show, at least for me, were the smaller games.
Yeah.
Only the two bigger games I cared about. I didn't give a shit about Hitman 3. I didn't care about NBA 2K21. I didn't care about I didn't care about Horizon Forbidden West. I didn't really like Horizon Zero Dawn, to be honest. I just felt like it was a BioWare game in a Sony exclusive game skin. I didn't care about
Pragmata?
I didn't care about Pragmata. Okay. No. I didn't care about Bug Snacks.
Bug Snacks.
Was it Bug Snacks? Was it Bug Snacks?
We're not going to say what we were joking it was.
Okay, so it was 6:30 in the morning. I was trying to be quiet. I had everything turned down.
Bug Snacks.
And I'm watching it, and I'm seeing this game. I'm like, okay, this looks like a 360 game, but whatever. And then all of a sudden I hear in an Aussie accent, which was pretty funny, like, welcome to the island of butt sex. And I'm like,
what? We said we weren't going to say what we were.
What? And then I've typed in on the Discord, I'm like, did I just hear butt sex? And then everyone's like, okay. So it wasn't just me that heard that. And I posted it on Twitter, and people on Twitter replying, going, wait, so I wasn't the only one that just heard that too?
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
there has to be some level of intentional there. There has to be some level of intentional.
I was crying. I don't so bad.
I don't think they would have done that if they didn't know people would act that way about it.
Oh man, I was crying.
I mean, again, the games that stood out to me weren't the bigger ones. I didn't care about Gran Turismo. I didn't care about
even
any
Gran
of those other
Turismo
ones.
didn't really look
Ghostwire Tokyo, Ratchet and Clank, and Spider-Man were the only big games that I actually saw and was like, I want that.
I watched it, and I went in because obviously, you know, everyone was hyping this up to be the moment we would really see next gen, right? And I'd ask, and if there are any Sony fans that are hate listening to this, and I'm talking the fanboys here, not people that just like games, right? Because I can get that. But if you hate listening to this as a real diehard, you know, I just want to listen to it so I can hate on these Xbox nerds.
We're paid by Microsoft and we got the checks rolling in.
Yeah, but compare that to the May IX, right? The production values were a world apart, clearly, a galaxy apart, right? And obviously they were far bigger announcements. But if I look at it from a indie, you know, the majority of what was revealed
was indie games.
It was indie games, and I'm bummed.
Was it the majority though, or was it about a 50-50 split?
Was it a 50-50 split?
Because I mean, there was Project Athia. Hold on, there was Project Athia, Resident Evil 8, Pragmata, Ratchet and Clank, Horizon Forbidden West. What else? Gran Turismo 7.
No, yeah, you're probably right. It's probably just because
it felt like about a 50-50.
But my point is that what I saw outside of, I would argue, Ratchet and Clank, that really
was current
was, you know, it was almost like SSD, the advertisement. It was just the same old games, right? And I'm not trying to be disparaging to the developers that are working hard on those games. There was some seriously cool stuff that I want to play, particularly Stray.
I think the marketing,
Stray,
and the marketing just led people astray.
Oh, Strays, yes,
Stray looks
great.
Good. I'm a bit bummed because that was announced for everything, and now it's not. We'll get to that.
So was Little Devil Inside.
So was Little Devil Inside.
That was meant to be coming to Wii U.
Wow.
Little Devil Inside.
But you know, there was some good stuff in there, but outside of the production value, you know, I'm kind of glad we got that May Inside Xbox, because if that was what they had left over, you know, effectively, like, here's some cool stuff that we've been working from some third-party partners, you know, and bear in mind, they announced the Medium, the Ascent.
Yeah.
What was the other exclusive from May?
Scorn.
Right. There's 3, you know, that are exclusive, similar to Bugsnax.
Timed exclusives,
timed exclusive. That's 3, and they just chucked them out there as a May Inside Xbox with everyone on webcams.
Especially the Medium, because that was basically Xbox's SSD the game.
Yeah, because they've patented a particular gameplay element where they're having a protagonist be existing in multiple game worlds. And I guess the closest thing I can liken this to would be, you know, switching from in any of the Halo remasters where you go from old engine to new engine. Effectively, they've got 2 people in you're controlling in the game worlds, but they're 2 separate ones, and they have 2 separate effects on each game world, and you can flip between. That's cool.
There are movies that have done that,
right? So, but overall, I don't feel I went in there expecting, like, you know, they're gonna drop the mic and really and they did in respect of they showed the box, and yes, here's a digital edition, you know, we'll drop the mic on that. But outside of that, I was surprised that it wasn't this earth-shattering, you know, I wasn't seeing Twitter and Reset Era and all the other forums out there going, what you gonna do now? I wasn't seeing the fanboys go to war. You know,
people were trying to hype up like Horizon Forbidden West as the big bomba, but we all knew there was going to be a second game.
Yeah,
there's no way Sony would have left that IP on the table after how successful the first game was. You know, we knew it was coming, we just didn't know when.
Yeah,
right. So, I think honestly, just the marketing teams, like,
well, they did a similar thing to what Microsoft did. They overhyped it.
They overhyped it. They overhyped it. The freaking the Sony hype people on Twitter, like Jeff Keighley and what's the other guy? I can't remember.
Jason Schreier.
Yeah, Schreier. We're trying to like build this up to be, oh my god, you guys have to see what they have in store. It's so amazing. And we see and it's like, okay, this was like marginally better than the Xbox show.
And not only that,
I don't really see
like Microsoft stuffed up their hype for theirs as well. But Sony went another level and called it the future of gaming, and I'm like, okay.
The future of gaming is more current gen gaming and faster load time. Let's go with that.
The future of gaming is a game that was on PS3 and 360 in Grand Theft Auto 5. And I'm just like,
what was with the I get it, it's a business deal, right? But when they opened with that, I was like, if this is a serious? Bum, and I'm glad they opened with it.
You know what though? I read on Resetera, someone made a pretty good post explaining why they would
Resetera, please, for the love of God.
There was a pretty good post explaining why they opened with GTA 5, and it makes sense. Like,
it's a business decision.
Okay, so if the agreement's been made and you have to show GTA 5, where do you show it? Do you get it out of the way right from the start?
Yeah, you do exactly what they did.
Close with it? No. That's right.
Yeah, close with it.
Yeah. So
the Big Mama is GTA 5 port to PS5.
That's right. So that's why they had to kind of open with it. Like, they kind of had no choice. So
I think it's also... Fans are also overhyping themselves at these events too, because everyone just wants to have the E3 of dreams from 2015, 2016 again, where Sony just announced back to back bombas, just dropping them down, and you could almost hear the roof collapse over the E3 stage that day. Everyone was cheering so loud. Just like, people want more of that, but it's not realistic to expect that out of every single event.
No.
A moment like E3 2016 Sony press conference only comes around maybe once a generation.
Yeah.
Once a generation. Well, and we're not anywhere close to getting that moment again.
Unless you're Nintendo.
Yeah.
Unless you're Nintendo.
Nintendo just seemed to strike that
Nintendo could announce a new Smash game and the entire, people would set buildings on fire.
Well,
yeah. So yeah, it was definitely an interesting event, and I think generally, I'm surprised that it wasn't a bigger statement than it should have. It was okay. If I was to put a score on it, it would be like a 7, and the IX from May would have been like a 5,
a 4.
It was just like, okay, there was some seriously cool stuff on both, and there are definitely games there that I want to play, but I wasn't forced to stand up from my chair and be like, what?
Yeah.
There was no jaw drop.
I think the last time I personally had a moment like that, I'm pretty sure you did too, John, was the initial reveal for Halo Infinite.
Yeah,
it was a stand up in your chair. Oh my God moment.
It was because it was an awesome kind of what is this?
Other than that, I can't remember the last time I had a moment like that.
Well, I'm getting more cynical in my old age, so yeah.
I'm 24.
So I think they definitely left the door ajar for Microsoft in July. They did not
slam it shut. Yeah.
No.
I think Jeff Grubb said something to that effect, right? Was that they could have, or they perhaps should have tried to, and I do think that maybe they thought they might, but I think it comes down to logistics here. And again, if you're hate watching us from the Sony camp, you do you. But and this can be argued whether it's fact, but I think the general consensus is despite all of the ramp up to the leaks and the theorizing and the power levels, they were not where everyone thought they were in terms of the development of this console, the design of this console, the power of this console. I know one of the Xbox team, Albert Pinello, did an interesting tweet where he said 20 years ago, when Microsoft first jumped into console gaming, he would never have thought there would be a time that Microsoft have the smaller, more storage, more powerful, frankly better designed console,
better GPU, better CPU
than the market leader. That's and that's okay. You can argue SSD speed, guys, but that's objective fact. All of those things
not
are true.
Only into system architecture, but holy hell, who the heck thought the PS5 physical design?
Can we just discuss the literal elephant in the room? Literal elephant.
Let's talk about
the thing is huge. It is ugly as sin. Like
the Alienware router. I mean, the PlayStation 5.
The Alienware.
How Sony, since time immemorial, have been known for their hardware design, whether it's in TVs, receivers, Walkmans,
Even
mobile
the OG
phones.
PS2 looked good.
How, but if you look at all their PlayStation consoles, so the PlayStation 1, remember, we're talking 1995. So while the PlayStation 1 still looked like a game console, it did have a much more, with the grey color, the cleaner lines, it did have a much more sleeker look to it, I'd argue, than, say, the Nintendo 64.
Yeah.
Maybe not than the Sega Saturn, but that's arguable. The PlayStation 2, ridiculously ahead of its time in terms of its industrial design. Like, I remember at the time everyone thought it looked kind of weird because up until then consoles had looked kind of like toys. And the PlayStation
and then the PS2 comes out looking like a media device.
Like a piece of hi-fi equipment. Very ahead of its time. And then the PS2 Slim took that to another level because, goddamn, that thing was amazing. The PS3 original, to me, that was your more bold statement in terms of design. So it still looks sleek, still looked like a piece of hi-fi equipment, but almost Bose-like in design. Then the PS4 went back sort of to the PS2-esque piece of hi-fi equipment, even though that slant is not going to age well, but that's for another day. And then this thing comes along and is, I'm sorry, but between Sega, Microsoft, Nintendo, and Sony, the PlayStation 5 is officially the ugliest console in the history of video games. I don't care what anyone says. No, it's not. They're not toys anymore. 35. They are 35 years old. Like, think about being a grown adult. So you are a grown adult, potentially with a family, potentially with your own home. You have visitors come over who aren't gamers, but they're also adults, just like you, and they possibly have families and their own homes. And they walk into your living room where you have your nice, clean, black OLED screen mounted to the wall with nice speakers and a nice, maybe, entertainment unit and this nice clean. And then they walk in and see that in your living room. Now, I'm sorry, but I would be embarrassed to have other grown adults see that in my house. I'm glad that my PlayStation 5 will be in my study right here somewhere. I don't know where I'm going to fit it. I'm going to have to make some room because that thing is big.
And the thing is, like, the whole toy argument thing doesn't even make sense because, like, every piece of hi-fi equipment you connect to your TV is a friggin' toy. Yeah. You don't need it. It's just to play around with and have, like, a decent, and not decent, like, a great experience with your other toys,
By the way, like, full disclosure, I kind of knew that the PlayStation 5 was going to be giant and awkward and have known for about, I don't know, quite a few months. I just didn't think it was going to be like that, though. I just knew the only words that I had been told were quite big and awkward.
Rare is the day when fan renders on Twitter look better than the official box released by the manufacturer.
Okay, this is the funniest part. Okay, so we're all old enough, even yourself, Cairo, Just. We are all old enough to remember that every generation we get our fan renders. Right before the consoles are shown, we get our fan renders. Yeah. For as long as I can remember, and I am very old, fan renders 99% of the time have been very space age, very out there, very futuristic looking. And the consoles never turn out that way. This generation, all the fan renders gave up. The fan renders gave up. They were like, you know what? We're tired of doing space age. All these consoles keep looking sleek and modern looking. Maybe our fan renders should be sleek and modern looking. So all these PS5 fan renders started coming out, and you know what? They look great. They were really clean, very, very
minimalistic.
modern. And then all of a sudden, what does Sony go and do? They make one of the
They
fan
took a
renders
fan
from
render of the
2005.
PS3 from 2005,
Yep.
yeah, and then just
Yep.
slapped it on the PS5. Oh my god.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Same height as the One X. Yep.
A person I know in one of my group friend chats, I posted an image of the PS5 as it had been unveiled, right? And then later on that night, he says he likes the design. I'm like, okay, well, he's an idiot.
Okay.
But moving
Tell
on.
him to lay off the narcotics.
Moving on. Later that night, we get into a discussion, I guess, over which of the boxes is going to get hotter. And I said flat out, I don't care how big the PS5 is. That thing is going to sound like a jet engine when I turn it on and play a game. Because the PS4 base sounds like a jet engine when you play a game. The PS4 Pro sounds like a jet engine when you play a game. There's no way.
Smaller.
Yeah. But
I'm sorry, but if that thing, that I better not hear a peep out of that PS5. Like if it's
but here's the thing. Here's my whole argument. If you put the Xbox Series X and the PS5 side by side and ask yourself which one of these is going to be louder, I'm going to say the PS5 will probably be louder than the Series X. The Series X will likely be whisper quiet.
No, that's a subconscious thing because of the visual design. So that's right. Because it's visually loud, you assume it's going to be audibly loud. Based on the size and the volume of both consoles, I would now expect the Series X to be the louder console. They should both be dead silent, given their volume. But if one was going to be audibly louder than the other, it simply has to be the Series X because it's smaller.
Well, I was taking into account like what we have now versus what we're going to have later. Like PS4 Pro is loud. Yeah, it's smaller than the PS5, but
it's almost Wii U loud.
But the PS4 Slim is whisper quiet, right? So
yeah, I had one for a bit. It is pretty quiet.
It's very, very quiet.
Yeah.
Right, and that's a very small system. So I don't really think size has anything to do with it here. I just think especially with what we know, with how the clocks are working, what they adjusted to make it so that they can approach the Series X in power, even marginally. I think PS5 has a greater chance of being way louder than the Series X does.
It better not.
Better friggin' not. I want a PS5 just so I can play Spider-Man and these other games that I want to play, but not
Ratchet,
but not like.
I just want Ratchet. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the Series X will be louder. I don't think either of them should be loud at all. I expect both of them to be dead silent. Oh yeah,
Especially. Yeah.
Giant fan. Yeah. Mind you, the SSD needs to be cooled as well, probably.
Exactly. And it's a. Yeah.
I hope not.
And especially when you consider the fact that because the Series X only has one giant fan, they don't have to ramp up the fan speeds as significantly as fast, because the way it's designed is to chamber heat through the fan efficiently as possible, and that thing will pump heat like no tomorrow, you know.
But
and
hold on, there's a problem here. If the PS5 is almost 40% larger, 20 to 30% weaker, and rumor is possibly more expensive. Someone stuffed up. Someone has stuffed up massively. Like, come on. Like, this thing has to be dead silent. It has to be. I would be fuming if this giant device is also loud.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like, it's like, I saw measurements. Like, you know how people usually use the USB drive or the disk drive to measure it out.
Yeah.
This thing, I don't think people truly appreciate how giant this thing actually is going to be.
Yeah.
And not only that, you need the stand regardless of whether it's standing up or lying down.
That's the thing that I think is ridiculous.
It's bonkers. It's bonkers.
What do you mean? Like,
Well, it's curious you say that, and I'm going to call him out, and I presume a him, and apologies if I'm incorrect on that. There's a forum poster on Reset Era who I would probably put, and no offense to you, in the Sony camp, right? I think that's your bread and butter, and that's fine, right? I'm not, games are games. It's all fun. But Nib95, right? And I'm sure you guys know who that is.
Yeah.
I would describe you, Nib, if you ever listen to this, or if someone on PlayStation Era says, "Oh, they talked about you on the podcast," you're good at what you do. Subtle. I think occasionally trolling
on the podcast.
But I think he put a post up in the Xbox Game Studios OT where even he was like, because I remember reading him saying, the Series X, cool, great, powerful, pretty big, don't know if it's going to fit in my media center. And obviously now, well, this is even bigger. It might be flatter, but it's definitely one big old thing. And
the big chunky boy.
He was pretty upfront and honest about it. He was like, yeah, I want it because I want the games, but good God. And that's what I mean when I say that this design is certainly divisive. I saw another one. Someone put a poll up and said Xbox Series X versus PlayStation 5. And I think the poll was leaning towards Series X. And someone put, you've done messed up if an Xbox is winning a poll on Reset Era.
Yeah, if Xbox is winning a poll on Reset Era, then Sony stuffed up big time.
Yeah.
It's just Xbox never wins polls on Reset Era.
It's like, okay, the thing that always gets me, though, is when I look at the pictures of the box, I just think, this looks like an early design concept.
Yeah.
It should have never made it past that stage.
It is a fan render, and in some cases, a literal fan, because the memes have been absolutely hilarious.
The PlayStation 5
oh my God.
So good.
They've been so good. Like
the PS5 is the duck's bill. Or the Pope's hat.
No, it's the router with 2 bits of paper on it.
I've been sent photos of actual heaters and radiators and fans that look exactly
I know.
like it.
It's awkward.
And the thing is, the Series X got the cool memes. Everyone just calls it a monolith or a refrigerator.
Well, even Xbox coined that, didn't they? They're like, Aaron had the fridge behind him.
They just went with it.
Why not? Enjoy the memes. That's part of the fun of the console launch.
I remember on Resetera when the Series X was first shown, and everyone's like, people that clearly were never going to buy it in the first place. Oh, I could never fit that in my entertainment center. It's just...
Yeah, I'm
sorry,
a little bit
out of the question for me. It's just too big.
They assumed Sony would make a console much smaller and more compact.
Much more elegant.
Boy. Yeah. Oh, boy. All the elegance went into 2 giant white fins over a really, really badly rounded black box.
Man. And let's talk about this.
Either orientation.
Let's talk about this and segue into the other part of this box reveal, because obviously it wasn't just a singular box. It was 2 boxes. We've got the digital edition, and we've got the one with the disc drive. And here's where it gets even crazier. Is it me, or does the digital edition look like the OG version? And for some reason, there's a weird bump where they've had to smush the disc drive in.
Yeah.
What?
Here's another question that got brought up in the Discord that someone made a good point, and I don't know how to answer the question because we're going to need to find out soon. So, that disc drive is on the right side when you look at the face of the PS5.
Yeah.
But it also lies down on that side with the disc drive underneath. But which way does the disc go in? Because it doesn't look like... Will the disc go in with the reading part that way when it's standing up, or that way? Which means, is the disc going to be upside down when it lies down?
Nah, the disc will, whatever it is, it will make sense that the disc goes in.
It's probably a slim reader.
Yeah.
Okay.
Either way, though.
Okay.
That
Remember, it's an Ultra HD drive, though.
There's a big drive. But either way, we've got now, and this is where it gets interesting, right? So we've got 2 boxes from Sony. Now, there's long been rumour. We've covered it. We've spoken about it.
Sony's trying to take our physical away?
No, Sony knows where the market's going.
Trying to take our physical discs away?
2013 reverse.
Is that what this is leading to?
No.
Are they taking away
I think in an expansion of the point of like the disc version looks like a hasty last minute revision.
It does.
Was
it
because
feels like an afterthought.
They thought Xbox would be dropping the disc with the Series X, so they'd be fine with it. But then the Series X reveals with a disc slot in a good orientation.
I actually
oh,
hope they do a disc
oh
version.
no.
Well, I'll take the disc version of the Series X.
This is it, right?
Sure.
So Schreier posted, lol, Sony. Sony revealed Lockhart before Microsoft, right? Now, I do think it was a genuine surprise to see a digital and a physical version.
Is it though? There had been rumours of 2 SKUs for quite some time.
I know they were never as
last year.
Yeah, but they were never as heightened as perhaps the Lockhart rumours, right? Either way, very, very cool that it's happening, and I love the fact that it gives consumers choice. Because if they had a Series X without the disc drive, that would be the one I would buy.
Oh, that's the one I'd get straight away.
But let's be clear here. Current rumour says that Lockhart isn't just the same thing without a disc drive. Lockhart's entire purpose and point is smaller, cheaper, less powerful, right? It is the 1080p version of your 4K monster.
Which is still a mistake. I'm sorry. Yep. It is a mistake.
Yep. I'm never going to... I don't think I'll ever get on board with Lockhart. I'm sorry.
I think it's cool. I think if you look at PC gaming... if you look at it,
I get
percentage.
I get it.
Well, we get the purpose of it existing in the whole tiered specs. I just think they should be focusing on one box, one SKU, push that as the main flagship, and say everything is optimized for 12 teraflops, a great SSD, great CPU.
I get
having
it.
To say, oh, you're gonna play the same games at 1080p on this smaller, weaker, cheaper box. It's like,
look. Don't get me wrong. I fully get why Lockhart exists. And honestly, if Lockhart has really good upscaling tech, Joe Sixpack won't know the difference. Between what these TVs can do with upscaling, combined with whatever Lockhart could potentially do with upscaling, most people won't even know the difference. But I still just wish it didn't exist. I'd rather they just take the hit on Series X and make it $399. I know that's not going to happen, but I'd rather they just take the hit on Series X, go $399, and that's the only box. I guess
you were the first one to swear here, Nick, not me.
Did he just F-bomb?
Did I?
You did just F-bomb.
Did I really?
Yep. It's not me this time, folks.
I'm disappointed in myself. I didn't even notice I did it.
I'm shocked and I'm appalled. An Australian
but
swearing.
Disgusting.
Disgusting.
I didn't even notice it. Did I?
I
You
don't know.
once.
I didn't twig
Once.
it, but it's
did.
every other word in my language, so it's a
Look,
concerted
if
effort.
you
for me not
criticize
to
my
swear.
language, then for sure I'm going to start paying attention to yours. So I know. I know. I
One
have
out of
everything
one
under
out
control.
of how many episodes?
Yeah. Well, it is what it is. So, yeah,
Okay.
it was definitely interesting. And outside of the boxes, they also revealed arguably all of their accessories. And I really liked this touch because ignoring how I feel about the actual design of the consoles, which I think
The
was
accessories
ugly.
were nice.
The accessories and the fact they're all branded
Yeah.
and they all look in the
Yep.
same line, really
They look
cool.
good.
And it seems to be implying that
camera-
they're all launching at once.
Okay, but the thing that I want to point out is that this was supposed to be PlayStation's big showcase of next gen, right? Where was PSVR 2?
It's not
Or
the
were the
time.
VR
It's not
games?
ready yet.
It's not.
Maybe it's not
it's-
ready
and
yet.
it's not the time to sell it. You can't say to your consumer, "Spend $4.99 on this box." Oh, and here's some headphones.
Another
and,
300.
And then here's another 300, 400 for PSVR 2, which is rumored to be wireless, by the way.
Yeah.
I doubt it.
That's what
You
I'm.
want to know why I doubt it?
Why?
Because the PS5 has a USB-C port on the front. What else are they going to be doing with that USB-C port?
That's true. That's
True, but
If
I
it's
mean,
not for
Sony could probably have some built-in hardware, like doohickeys on the board, doohickeys,
Yeah, my
Uh,
guess is
to allow
that's
for wireless
PSVR.
transmission.
Yeah, and maybe
don't know.
that
That's
also
my
explains
guess.
the size of the console. Maybe that that whole processing unit that the original PSVR had. Maybe
Maybe
that's
it's built in.
inside. I don't know. But either way, it's
The camera, though, can I just say something? That
Yeah.
camera is genius. Like, if one of the shots I saw, so it looks like a clam holding something inside it. The way if you saw it from the side, that bottom part it unclips, it opens up, and you can mount it to the back of like your.
Yeah, it's
Flat
very
screen
similar to
TV.
my C920.
So it doesn't need its own stand or anything like that. And I think they've specifically, obviously, designed it for the very thin TVs we have now.
Yeah.
It was actually, I thought it was very cleverly designed. The media
Yeah.
remote, very similar to the Xbox One, very pretty. The media remote, I thought.
Yep.
And I like that they made an official charging stand because I hate buying unofficial stuff. Like, I've never bought those charging stands myself because there were no official ones. I like that Sony's now made an official one.
wish the dang controllers would just be double A's. But oh well.
Can we please not talk about that,
Yeah.
please?
Yeah, I know it's a sore subject for Mr.
It
I hate
already
built-in
annoys me
batteries.
enough. It annoys me enough that the Elite 2 has an inbuilt battery. That already annoys me.
Yeah.
But I will definitely buy that charging stand. I don't want to buy two controllers initially because that two-tone is gross. I'm waiting for the all black or all white or all whatever, the single color DualSense controller.
Yeah.
Because, man, that two-tone on that controller is just gross. I don't know what
Two-tone.
happened to Sony's industrial design in the last 4 years. But man,
Weirdly, whenever I hear anyone say two-tone, like among my circle of friends, dating back to the Halo 2 days, there was always this thing where you go into skirmish, which was a mode in Halo 2 on the original Xbox, and everyone would be like, skirmish, and you'd have this two-tone cadence to your voice, and it just snowballed, right? It was just one of those stupid things you did as kids, right? It was like everything became two-tone, so you'd start doing entire sentences in two-tone. And later on, when I started throwing LAN parties for that group of people that we'd all met in Halo 2, it got ridiculous. It got so stupid. At one point, I was dared to ring our local takeaway and put the entire order through on the phone for whatever we were ordering, burgers, pizzas, kebabs, whatever, in that way. So like, hello, can I have 2 pizzas? Like, it was just stupid, right?
God.
And I remember the guy on the phone was like, okay, is this a serious order? And I was like, yes, it is. It was just so dumb. It just always makes me laugh whenever I hear two-tone. Sorry. Mine are amusing.
there was, before we leave the PS5 event, one thing that I found very interesting. No price.
No price.
Which, to me, almost immediately... My suspicion is that the digital edition is $4.99. That's the rumblings that are starting now. Jeff Grubb has sort of hinted at that.
What? So you think
Put it this way:
549?
549 for the disc based, or 599. Now, because I'm sorry, if that digital edition was 399, they would have just announced it. Because they're definitely not going to be less than 399. So why not just announce the price if you're 399? So my guess is 499, and I think it's possible the digital edition exists so that Sony can avoid a price that starts with a 5.
Well, so because they're starting at...
when they will always say, get PlayStation 5 starting at 499, because they do not want to mention 5 at the front.
Yeah.
Never again. But I think the disc version will be at least 549.
Yeah. So...
Which, I mean, whatever. I mean, I paid $1,000 for the PS3 back in 2007, so if I have to pay that again, I'll pay it again. Jeez. 1,000 Australian back in 2007, and I was glad to pay it. That's fine, whatever.
Here's the thing, though, right? And I know everyone likes to get their business / armchair developer thing going on, but you know there is a very... I've said this before, that there is the days of oh yeah, we can just eat that cost are gone, or at least I thought they were, and I still think they are. I fully expect Microsoft's Series X to be $499. I would argue it's probably costs them more. But if you look at the design, it's matte, it's simple. The shell just look at how when you saw Digital Foundry build it.
Oh yeah,
the cost of the components.
The PS5
all of this
is glossy as.
All of this ridiculous material, right? That's just going to bump that build cost up. In my, business developer whatever.
It's even got LEDs. It's even got LEDs.
So there's all these little hints, right? Now, I think the way that Microsoft have designed it, yes, it's a monolith, and yes, but it's incredibly clever inside, but incredibly simple outside. And you have to know, right? These people are smart that make this stuff, that sell this stuff most of the time. Someone's got to have had the conversation at some point to say, we're being, and this is true, right? We're being outsold by our main competitor 2-1, and that's just facts. Sorry, hit the mic. We're being outsold by our main competitor. How can we undercut them, right? So there's two conversations that happen. One is, well, what if we do this other device so we can have our high end and our low end exactly how we have now with Xbox One X and Xbox One S? That's a path they've clearly pursued. But what if they come in at $499 and the Series X is, and I don't, people are going $299 for the Series S. I think it's going to be. I think that's your $399 benchmark. I don't think it's going to be cheaper than that, because
that's double the
exactly.
Mistake.
So I think that's a mistake. If they do come in cheaper, I'd be really, really astounded. And I'm going to be really curious to see come July if they bite and do very, very similar to what Sony did this week, which is games, mic drop at the end. Here's your pre-order date. It's coming out in September. I'm still holding on hope. I know people think I'm wrong.
Yeah, me too.
But, and then they just might drop that price. I would love to see a $399 Series X and a $299 Series S, because that would make an unequivocal statement. Like, we're going to war. We'll see. I mean, it's all fun to theorize, but I think Microsoft don't care so much. I mean, they do, but they don't care so much about being the top seller. They care about engagement and how many of the big fish in their pond are buying games. That's the... Still,
don't forget Yikes Imbara's tweet as well.
A significant issue for one, a rounding error for the other.
A rounding error for the other. I can tell you right now that the most you will be paying for an Xbox console this year is $499. You will not be paying $1 more. I'll tell you that right now. Whether they decide to take a big hit and go $399, that's the question. That's what I'd do if I was them.
That's exactly what I would do.
Back in the game. But maybe it's not financially feasible for them to do that. Yeah. I don't know.
The only thing, I've said this before, is that because we've got xCloud, because we've got
Game Pass,
we've got all of these little extra things, the volume, one would imagine, or the price able to be negotiated with the suppliers for all the components and the design, because they're producing more, or more is effectively usable, that they could negotiate a cheaper price. That's kind of where I'm at. I don't know how true that is, and maybe if you've got knowledge in the industry and you can explain this and give us some insight, hit us up, drop a comment in, email us,
but
whatever.
Theoretically, that should apply double to Sony. Because if Sony was negotiating with suppliers, they would have a better chance of guaranteeing a certain number of units sold, theoretically.
Yes, if they went with more standardized parts, but they've developed...
Yeah,
and I
true.
think this is where the cost differential is chipset and everything AMD have designed fine, but the NVMe stuff is super bespoke for them, as we've been told.
And the audio engine.
Yeah, well, I won't go into that part, but I'm really curious to see how it all lays out. And what's great is we've only got a few months to get all this settled, right? Two months, it'll all be over. We'll know price, we'll know when, we'll know how, we'll know everything, and it feels good to.
I've already pre-ordered both.
Yeah, so I haven't, because it's not available for
Do your retailers allow it? Because everyone was quite surprised when I showed my receipt.
No,
Our retailers here have created pre-order SKUs or registered interest SKUs.
Yeah, that gives you a
which
place in
act
the
as
queue.
pre-orders. Yeah, so I've already pre-ordered both the Series X and PS5, which is good.
Well, the thing is, for me,
Because I'm worried that they're not going to have much.
Yeah.
The quantities are going to be very limited.
Well, and here's what's interesting. We only heard or saw rumours or announcements that PS5 was in production 2 weeks back. We saw rumours and announcements and discussion that Xbox Series X was in production
Ages ago.
2 months back. More.
Yeah,
even.
ages ago.
So I'm still clinging to that September release date, boys and girls.
So am I. So am I.
Very much so. But it is what it is. The other thing...
Could you imagine, like, the July show comes, they show all the games, they announce the price, and then they're like, and it's available in 2 months. In September.
Yes, I could.
That'd be so good.
Yes, I could. And I would enjoy
good.
it. But we've got questions that talk about what we think we'll see in July of community questions, so we'll get into that in a second. The other thing I wanted to mention, just on the Lockhart front, while we're talking about the two editions of the PlayStation 5, the two flavours, a rumour popped up on Reddit with two, and I say it's a rumour, this is, as I understand it, fact, two XDKs, which is a software development kit for Xbox. Two new ones were registered and showed up in some form in South Korea, which again is like, come on, it's coming. What's it going to look like? Is it going to be like a little cube as on display here? I'd love that, with no disc drive, and it's your Game Pass, your 1080p machine, because at launch, as you said, what we're going to buy.
The right way?
Yeah, you need to point the other corner. The other corner. For yeah, there you go. You're good.
That way.
Right. Is it going to be that? Because at launch for me, I'm probably going to get one of each, right? Because one's going in my lounge, where I'm not planning on giving myself a massive 4K monster screen. I don't need to, really. You know, like movies, I don't really care about watching them in 4K because I don't care. But my console for in here is my 4K monster. But yeah, it's super interesting. And
I don't know. I might buy Lockhart just so I could do one of those YouTube videos. I'll do it for Xboxera, where you take it out in front of the line and just smash it on the ground.
You could be that guy. Oh, man.
Yeah, I'll just take Lockhart, grab a sledgehammer, and just crunch it.
There are people out there. So yeah. But I think that pretty. Has anyone got anything else they really want to say about that whole reveal event? The only thing,
not really. I
don't think I'll ever let go of how ugly it is.
Yeah, the only thing
I
I wanted
believe
to
I have
mention,
to have that in my house,
because it was satisfying to mention it, is there's been huge back and forth about how the SSD is going to completely eliminate LODs and it's going to completely eliminate blah 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 blah.
Oh, and it's even going to improve the frame rate as well, isn't it?
Yeah, let's talk about that. Everything was 30 FPS for the most part.
Yeah, I know.
Not everything, but most part. I'm like...
Most of it.
I'm done. I'm done with 30 FPS. I don't need it.
Oh, man.
I don't need it anymore. It makes me cross. It makes me sad. All right? And in particular, what I did notice, and I don't know if anyone else saw this in the Gran Turismo reveal, which typically racing games are the powerhouse of a console launch, right? They're the one that has all the bells and whistles because it's really easy.
Pop in, LODs.
Yeah, you saw the lights popping in, the shadows popping in as they were going around the track. I was
super low res reflections.
What is going on? I thought this was meant to be next gen.
Yeah, well.
Ugh, it makes me mad.
And you see people starting to switch to the argument of, we're not going to see true next gen until 2 years into next gen.
Oh,
okay.
that's
so where are all the arguments? What about all the arguments saying we're going to see next gen now, huh?
Well,
yeah, that's right.
Does kind of get thrown out the window now?
Let's talk about that.
Well, the goalpost shifting has technically shifted to the truth. We generally don't see the best looking games till the end of a generation.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And the whole cross-gen thing, people disparaging Microsoft's cross-gen approach. Well, everything on that show was cross-gen apart from GT7, Horizon Zero Dawn,
and Ratchet,
Forbidden West, and Ratchet. And I guess the Spider-Man semi-sequel that's basically the Crackdown 2 of Spider-Man. Same city, but with more bells and whistles.
We're not sure. Well, like I said, it's more like Infamous First Light. Because Infamous First Light, I think, is in the same city or a section of the city as Infamous. I can't remember.
Yeah, well, that was Crackdown 2, wasn't it? It was the same city map, just with different mechanics and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Done in
there's
a
a
year.
whole story behind that, of course. But yeah, less. Try closer to 6 months.
Right. So it just feels a little bit like we need something. Spider-Man's a world-renowned IP. Get it in there for launch. It just, I don't know. It feels not to disparage.
And my thing is it, like, if it is a standalone a la First Light, is it going to be full priced?
Is it going to come out on PS4? No. But and interestingly, Sony drew their line in the sand, right? Where was the backwards compatibility talk for their mic drop moment? I remember Jim Ryan, I think, popping up and saying, we believe in generations. We want to give people that are switching something to look forward to, blah, blah, blah. Everything was cross-gen, apart from like 3 games, and only one of them was given a date.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It wasn't the slam dunk that people were purporting it to be. But hey, we've talked about it. That's our thoughts on this PlayStation Era podcast. We thank you for watching.
Well, I did want to wrap up with some minor PlayStation news, I guess. So, Last of Us 2 reviews started dropping.
That's a good shout.
96 Metacritic. Congrats on Naughty Dog for releasing a successful game. Making a successful game yet again. I hope we can see the same thing from Ninja Theory, Playground, The Initiative, all those guys on our end. But I wanted to actually highlight a couple review things that I saw, which were actually pretty interesting, because a lot of the very positive reviews of the game have been, standard stuff like this is the best gaming has to offer or whatever.
Is it the Citizen Kane of gaming though?
I saw one review. It was like a tweet of a portion of a review of a guy was saying something along the lines of, people keep asking when are games going to approach film, and this game proves when are films going to approach games. And it's like, oh my god, this is
yeah, I read that.
Overhyped, ridiculous.
Look,
I think
I need to say something. This generation has taught me one thing, and that is to not listen to reviews anywhere near as much as I used to. Like, especially for the massively hyped AAA games. Like,
now that's the interesting thing that I want to talk about here is that there's actually a slew of fairly critical reviews of the game going around right now.
But aren't they all just critical of the violence?
It's not just that. For example, Maddie Myers of Polygon. I'm going to read the last paragraph of their review. I don't know if it's I don't know who they are, but let's see. It says, The Last of Us Part 2 depicts individual people who are instead ruthless, capable, yet self-absorbed, and whose perception of violence is limited to how it affects them and their chosen family members. They are almost unbelievably unable to see the bigger picture. Part 2 ends up feeling needlessly bleak at a time when a nihilistic worldview has perhaps never been less attractive. Its characters are surviving, but they're not learning, and they're certainly not making anything better. Maybe the most surprising thing that The Last of Us Part 2 offered me was the surety that, while the game was made with great craft and skill, we are actually much, much better than Naughty Dog thinks we are. And that leads me to a post that I saw looking at the review thread that I thought was pretty interesting from Eat Children. What a weird name that is, but go on going.
Mod, right?
No, he's been around forever. He's Aussie.
Yeah,
he's been around forever.
So he says in the Last of Us 2 review thread, the criticism towards exaggerated violence and arguably unjustified, comical, brutal human behavior comes not from obliviousness to systematic or hierarchical authoritarianism and the dehumanization it has led to an inhuman civilization, but the lack of evidence to suggest humans regress to murderous, animalistic monsters in Naughty Dog's survivalist premise. It opens a real conversation as to whether such framing of humans that are inherently communal is actually believable or instead outrageously exaggerated, and whether or not that gives brevity to the portrayal of questionable violence and human actions, or instead presents a superficial torture porn that provides an incredibly bland, surface-level misunderstanding of human behavior, masquerading as insight and depth. I haven't played the game, and I don't know, but that'll make for interesting post-mortems. Yeah. And I think it's kind of funny how the reviews that are critical of the game aren't really just because of, oh, it's too violent or it's too bleak. It's that Naughty Dog succeeded in making a game about awful human beings, with the implication that all of us are like that when it really comes down to it. And I know we probably weren't going to talk about it because of previous discussions before this, but in light of the circumstances happening in the world right now, where you see millions of people walk out into the streets and protest for a good cause,
together,
to stop racism, to stop police brutality, to stop just the needless amount of BS that people have to go through just to be able to live as themselves in this world, right? You see the millions of people coming out in support for that.
Yeah.
And in the face of that Naughty Dog's game, from the criticism that I've seen from the critics who have said similar things to this, is it's not reality. And that's the thing that interests me the most about that whole thing. Because in the context of what we're experiencing right now, like, we see a lot of games tackle humanity in that way, where we're all just hopelessly depressed and at our baser instincts, we're all just going to kill each other and everything's Lord of the Flies, you know? And
you're starting to sound like an optimist, Cairo. We're better than that, right?
We're better than that. And I really want people to understand. I think the majority are, and the majority of people tend to surprise a lot.
I get the philosophical viewpoint on that, and I think it is something that's going to be interesting to discuss. And I really do think though, my point and towards Xbox and stuff like that, I really hope Xbox pays attention to those critical points and starts focusing on stuff that alleviates the whole situation, I guess. Like Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, the first one, was very much a game about coming to terms with death, right? And in a very unique perspective, right? And really hope Senua's Saga does the same kind of thing, because I think it's a good counter to what Sony's got right now, where everything is just so needlessly, I don't know. It's a version of reality that I don't really like seeing. You know, it's a really good topic to kind of dive into, right? Because as a consumer, as a fan of games, we've all heard the phrase "gameplay is king," right? And if my gameplay is everything's awful, you're awful, the whole world is awful, well, yeah, I'm not really on board with that. Though I also agree that, you know, there are perhaps more human beings out there that are like that than any of us would perhaps care to admit or want to admit. But I think it's definitely going to be an interesting post-mortem discussion. But we are seeing two two camps out there in the world, right? We're seeing the people that just view everyone as people and everyone should be treated the same and you know, be allowed to live their lives how they want to live them. And then we see people that for some reason have ideologies that just don't gel with that, and it's disgusting.
Yeah.
You know, just based on the colour of someone's skin or their religion or their sexuality or whatever. And it pisses me off that we live in that world. But it is the world we live in. And until we get all Star Trek on us and evolve as humanity. But we've seen it. We've seen it over the last, 4, 5, 6 years. The rise of right-wing ideology, the rise of insular, closed borders thinking, populist agendas that don't actually try and advance, humanity as a whole, but more to cut us off and revert us and go backwards. And that's scary. But there are people out there that want to go backwards, that wish, that fear different. And it's... The world is complicated. Humanity is complicated. And
I just want to say,
a long podcast that could be discussed.
I know, but this has actually been stirring up since we're closing out the PS event. I do appreciate Sony for putting on stage the Deathloop for its primarily black protagonist. The black protagonist. And it reminds me of Tell Me Why coming later this year from Microsoft's camp about a transgender man, and I really want to see more of that to balance out how bleak sometimes these topics in gaming can become, how miserable it can be. And we need more stuff like that. We need more stuff like Tell Me Why. We need more stuff like Deathloop, So hoping for more of that. I really want Microsoft to lead the charge in that. They've done well with their accessibility stuff. They've done well in trying to build a better community at the cost of a lot of racist idiots on Twitter.
Who cares about
Here's hoping the push is made with gaming.
Yeah. Agreed. Well, that was heavy. I appreciate if you're listening to this in your drive and you're sitting thinking, I just want to talk about games, man.
Sometimes games and the real world intersect a little bit,
Yeah, absolutely.
So
before we dive into... I guess we can do these all in kind of one hit. Before we dive into the Rumourmill, just a couple of things that we've seen that have dropped recently. So, and I guess it can be part of the Rumourmill in general. So we're going to discuss a couple of things here. The first one has been that Tom Warren
and Jez, don't forget Jez too.
The dashboard was discussed, and we've talked about it on the podcast. Is because this is the family of devices
that Mercury app.
Yeah, this whole Project Mercury thing.
So,
there is a new store back end, and we've seen it shown off. I think several of the Windows Central team got a hold of it, as well as others. But the console itself, the launch console for Series X, apparently will have the same dashboard, bar a few tweaks and some more design language that brings it all in line. Which I personally, I'm not happy with. I don't mind the dash as it is now. It's much better than it was. And as long as the speed and the performance is there, great. But part of a new console launch for me has always been, yay, new dash. New way of looking and interacting.
And that's the thing. It's the thing that stinks a lot because, we're finally going into a generation now where, the power of the box is pretty much there for the majority of things, and we're going to get still stuck with the same dashboard we've had for forever. Okay. And it has a lot of features, right? But it looks like crap. And I just want a better, different experience when I'm buying a new box, And I'm pretty sure Sony's going to do a new dash for the PS5.
So I think a lot of people need to understand that times are changing, yeah? Every time you buy a new iPhone, does iOS look different every single time?
No.
No, it does not. When you buy a new laptop, has Windows changed since the last time you bought a laptop? No. When you buy a new MacBook, has the OS changed since the last MacBook? No. So, I don't understand. So this is the problem. To this day, we gamers still can't let go of the past.
Give me back the blades, man.
We need to get over this idea. Like, this industry needs to evolve at some point.
Just go back to the OG Xbox dashboard. Just do that.
We need to stop with this idea that, it's a new box, so everything has to be new. You know what, man? We had a new dashboard with the Xbox One, and it was broken as hell.
Yeah.
And it was missing so many goddamn features.
Yeah.
And it had to change almost immediately. Having said that, I personally, I'm fine with the Xbox Dash staying the same if it becomes reliable and it performs properly. Having said that, we've seen what the new store looks like. We are almost certain there is going to be a new look coming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
we've seen that language in the Game Pass apps and the game streaming and all that stuff.
So if you are going to have a new look, then it does make sense to launch that new look with the new console.
Yeah.
So while I am fine, so if the new look wasn't coming, I'd be perfectly content with keeping the same dash, and hopefully it works better. But knowing that there's a new look coming, then yes, I do agree. If you're going to do the new look, why would you not have it out with the new box? That's where I'm sort of not on the fence per se.
The thing is, too, is like we're going to be getting the new look of the store before we ever see a new look of the dashboard. And that's the thing that's
dumb
like,
as well.
That's the thing that like
dumb.
makes me confused because we're finally getting a store that looks
basis. So these are all individual things that you can
they're all individual teams, individual services. Yeah, but at the same time, you're one cohesive brand under one umbrella, right? It's all Xbox. The Xbox store team should be talking with the Xbox dashboard and Xbox UI teams.
They are.
Saying,
the problem
collaborate.
is the Windows Store team wasn't back in the day when this whole UWP debacle started. That team did its own thing, and everyone else was like, "This isn't good for games."
I have to say though, we're dumping on Microsoft for making these dumb decisions. The PlayStation Store on PS3 looks nothing like its dash. Never has.
And that's because you can.
It also runs like crap too. So
crap.
You can think of it essentially as it's loading a web page, right? Because that's exactly what it's doing.
I mean, in a literal case on the Switch, that is literally a web page that you're loading every single time you go to the eShop.
Don't get me started on the
it does not run well at all. It is very unoptimized for that device.
Yeah, it's not
terrible.
Cool.
But yeah, it would be nice because I do love that new look. Like I'm using it on my Surface now. I use the beta app. I don't use the normal one. Yeah. And I really like how it looks. If the new Xbox Dash can look something like that, that'd be great.
Honestly,
have you grabbed
with the way that's going, like especially with the way that software development at Xbox is going, along with the PC Xbox app and the console stuff, I really, really wish Xbox would go in a direction of rapid feature prototyping and development rather than this stale, we're going to release maybe one new feature every big update every half year.
They were doing that for a while.
They are still in the insider
for a
builds.
while they were doing it.
Yeah.
But in the insider builds, you have to be given that access to that feature,
Yeah, well.
And I wish it was more, I don't know, opt-in. I mean, Steam has opt-in betas, and
but
Steam
it is. Anyone can enjoy
releases.
Anyone can join the insider program. The point is to iron out the kinks before you release it to the masses, and that's the right call to make. I think.
You were going to say something.
I was going to say something. Have you got the Xbox app on your Surface Book now?
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Yeah. So and it's nice, right?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I've got that new Xbox Beta app, and it's really
You're
nice.
lucky you got to it at a time because before we had to have the console companion app, which you could join.
Oh, that's still there.
Yeah, I know it is.
That's still there.
But now you can do everything because of the new update. You can do everything from the one app now, and that's parties, that's game bar.
My only problem with the Xbox app on PC is because all the games are on the left side. I keep wondering, once that bar fills up, that's going to be cluttered as hell to manage.
Yep.
And I really hope they have a solution for that is very, very intuitive. But right now, as it stands, I don't think they have a solution for that.
Yeah, visually, nice. When you have 100 games, not so nice.
Yeah, no.
That was kind of the
That becomes
problem
a
with
problem.
blades and why they had to change the blades on 360.
Yeah. But yeah, so outside of that, from a Rumourmill point of view, there's another rumor floating around, and that is that Warner Brothers, or rather AT&T, who own the Warner Brothers gaming arm, are looking to sell for a purported $4 billion, which apparently might come down to 2-ish.
I was about to say, they're not selling for $4 billion. I think there's just speculation that it'll be $4 billion. Because remember, when you're buying all those Warner Brothers studios, is any IP coming with it?
No. Don't believe so.
Well, hold on. Mortal Kombat would be.
Yeah,
Mortal Kombat would be coming along with it. I think the game licenses for
however
Lord of the
long is
Rings,
left.
for however long is left, for Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, DC, I think those would come along too. And whoever is willing to buy those, Microsoft, Sony, or whoever, would likely probably extend the duration of those licenses as well, especially if it's a console manufacturer, because they can say, we have Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter exclusive, and you can't get them anywhere else.
I think there's already talk that Activision is sniffing around. God, that'd be horrible. EA, Take-Two, and Microsoft. My thing is, it'd be highly unlikely to be Microsoft, not because of the cost.
No.
Let's be serious. Even if it was $2 billion, that's not a lot of money for Microsoft. I don't think it's the cost that would be deterring Microsoft. It would be the staff intake that would be deterring Microsoft. It's the publishing
arm of it.
That's, you're talking, that's a lot of studios, and they're all big studios, don't forget. They're not little small indie 10-man, 20-man studios.
Yep.
They are big 200.
So what is it? It's WB Montreal.
Rocksteady.
It's
Rocksteady.
Rocksteady.
NetherRealms.
It's NetherRealm. It's Monolith.
There's a lot of good developers there.
Oh, they're great studios. Don't get me wrong, they're great studios. But I wonder if the option exists to just pick and choose one or two. Because
a deal could probably be made.
If I'm Microsoft, I'm taking NetherRealm if I had a choice. Because then you've got Killer Instinct problem solved, and you've got Mortal Kombat. So all of a sudden, you become a far more important fighting game platform. Because you have the biggest fighting game on the planet, which I can't believe I'm saying it. That's what Mortal Kombat is. As someone who's been Street Fighter his whole life, it's so weird to say that Mortal Kombat's the biggest fighting game in the world. You get the biggest fighting game in the world, and you get two teams that one can produce your Killer Instinct for you.
Yeah.
Your other one makes you Mortal Kombat. And I would be taking Rocksteady. As much as I love Monolith, I would be taking Rocksteady, and I would be taking NetherRealm, and they're
Isn't Arcane Studios part of the WB Studios label?
No, that's Bethesda.
That's Bethesda.
Okay, that's Bethesda. Okay.
Yeah, I'd be taking Rocksteady, and even if they're not making Batman, it doesn't matter. You know that they can make that third-person action, adventure, combat.
Yeah. The game that they are making is crazy. That's a direct quote.
And you get your fighting game studio that can take over Killer Instinct, and you've got Mortal Kombat, and you keep Mortal Kombat as multi-plat, because I don't see Microsoft making Mortal Kombat exclusive.
Oh, wow. That's also Hitman, I think.
No, IOI.
No,
IOI actually own Hitman?
IOI are independent now.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, I in a hypothetical scenario where Microsoft does take NetherRealm and Rocksteady, my guess is they would keep Mortal Kombat multiplat, same way they kept Minecraft multiplat, because it's just too big.
Yeah,
it's too big. And then you have Killer Instinct as your exclusive, and you have the second NetherRealm.
That's also TT Games too.
Yeah, Telltale. Yeah,
Telltale.
Telltale?
Oh well, I always.
You mean Traveler's Tales?
Yeah,
TT.
The Lego developers.
Right.
Traveler's Tales.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, if they wholesale bought that, that's a kid studio for kid-focused games.
It's huge. Yeah. It could be huge. Now, if I'm sitting in Microsoft HQ and I'm Phil, I'd be, and I think the phrase has been used. I know Matt on Reset Era said they were kicking the tires to feel this one out. I would absolutely be in there, because you're about to launch a new generation. You're losing to your market. leader 2-1. If your market leader gets any of these, that is only
yeah.
because they're not going to be like, yeah, we'll keep it all multi-plat. Not going to play the same game as you. All right, they don't believe in that. Although I know a lot of Sony fans are going to find a lot of their games are coming to PC really soon.
Yep.
And you can see where this line is going. Look, we had Unreal demo siding with PlayStation. Every PlayStation exclusive that's released on PC has been on Epic Store. These are the battle lines being drawn now. So you're going to have Microsoft, Steam on this side of the camp, and you're going to have Sony and Epic on the other. It depends who you.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting.
And honestly, just if I were Phil Spencer or anyone, and I had an open checkbook to write any kind of amount of money for, buying the entirety of WB games would be an extra 5 studios under their belt producing content for Game Pass.
AAA content.
AAA content.
But hold on. Good studios. Proven track record, good studios.
With pedigree, you know, and it'd be covering your bases in a wide array of genres.
Ooh,
I mean, you've got fighting games, you've got family-friendly games, you've got
action
adventure games.
Look,
you know,
end of the day,
horror.
They bought Minecraft for 2.5. That's one IP. 1 IP in a studio, $2.5 billion. This, if it's going for 4, that's bonkers. Good.
That is a steal for that many studios of that legacy, of that pedigree.
Hold on. And this is why I asked about the IP thing. So Insomniac was bought for 250, 230, 250
million.
Because Insomniac didn't come with much in terms of IP.
Yeah, everything.
The IP is where the value is. The IP, because don't forget, right? And this is why it's not about the studios. If they bought NetherRealm tomorrow, what if all the staff didn't like being bought by Microsoft and quit? What have they then bought? They've bought a name, and that's all they've bought. And that's why it's not going to go for $4 billion. Because if the IP doesn't come with it, then it's not worth $4 billion. It's not even worth $2 billion. If all you're doing is buying studios, effectively, really it should only be about $1 billion. And even then, you could be throwing your money away because all those staff could crack it and say, I don't want to be under Microsoft. See ya.
Yeah,
and
you could.
Have bought nothing but names. Nothing but names.
But usually with sales and things like that, there's usually agreements that are put in from leadership roles particularly that say non-compete, you have to stick this out for a minimum of X, you know. And regardless, any adult, because this happens a lot, you know, not just in a video game industry point of view, but in any industry, any adult with a mortgage and bills and
won't just up and quit their job.
Yeah, they're not going to. You might have some creatives that be like, screw this, you know, like I don't want to be in this outfit, but I would argue that the majority would not, and they'd at least see how things go, particularly now as you've got a bunch of acquisitions that have happened recently that have gone well, where the studios have come back and said, yeah, unlike the past with Bungie, where the middlemen were coming in and trying to manage and micromanage the studios and not let the creatives lead the process, they're just letting them run on their own and just helping them with the tax and the HR and the finance and the If that story can be sold, because that's how Tim Schafer said with Double Fine. He had a conversation with Bonnie Ross. He spoke to some of the people that had been acquired, and it was like, yeah, okay, if I can just go back to building. You've seen the reaction from Brian Fargo, who you know, he's been like, yeah, this is so nice. I get to actually design games again instead of running a studio. There are going to be studios.
He was on Twitch today.
Was he? Oh, there was a gaming show.
It was the future gaming show on Twitch.
Yeah.
And Wasteland 3, I think, was what closed it out, and they had Brian on. Yeah.
Cool.
Nice.
Sorry, just thought I'd mention it. I heard Brian Fargo, and it made me think of that.
But
oh no, they closed out with Kenna. Ooh.
Yeah, it looks good. But yeah, so I really hope that Microsoft really do kick the tires. I would love to see it happen because it would change so much of the landscape. Yeah. That it's kind of unthinkable.
Could you imagine, even if like the IPs are what's valuable, right? But if Microsoft decides to go ahead and they get maybe 3 or 4 years on each of the licensed IPs from WB's own properties, right? Make one game each, right? Just to feel out the partnership. and then they put all those studios on new IPs that they want to make and get even more like value out of them in the long run, that you can just keep pumping into Game Pass as look at all these exclusive titles you can only get $10 a month. Give it to us.
Yeah.
And at that point, it becomes a sealed deal. Like, there was a conversation I was seeing happening, I think it was in the Xbox Studios OT on Reset Era, where they were talking about how, like, no, it was actually a thread. I can't remember who made the thread, but it was on Era, where they remarked, the thread poster remarked that even if the price of a PS5 comes in at, let's say, $50 to $100 less than the Xbox Series X, right? You still have to pay for the games. You still have to pay for the accessories. You still have to pay for all this other crap.
It's the value proposition.
It's the value proposition. You pay $500 for an Xbox and $10 a month for games. That's
PS
it.
Plus.
And PS Plus.
Yeah,
not to mention PS Plus.
That came up. PS Plus required for GTA Online. I was like, right, they're keeping PS Plus. Come on, Microsoft, drop gold.
Yep.
Be brave, be bold.
If Microsoft drops gold, Game Pass is their subscription service going forward, then $500 doesn't seem like that much when you have 250 plus games already. I think the last count was.
They still say 100. They still say 100.
That it's in a $10 a month subscription. People are going to buy and are going to bite for that because that makes the most sense of them. And now think about it. If they buy the WB Studios, not only is that better value proposition for a Game Pass, that is a more consistent release schedule as well. If they ramp those studios up.
Buying. And here's the other thing, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again. This is why Lockhart is a thing. It is not for you or me or you or anyone listening. It's for Joe Sixpack, as I think the phrase you used, who buys FIFA and COD once a year.
Haven't you ever heard of Joe Sixpack?
Well, we use Joe Blogs over here, which was a clothing brand.
Yeah, we've got Joe Blogs here too, and we've got a few others. But
I refuse to believe many gamers out there have a six-pack, all right? I certainly don't.
I'm trying.
I'm rocking a keg, all right?
I'm trying.
But, yeah, it's pure business at this point. It is about volume, market saturation, and value. All right, and Microsoft
if you can sell a $300 Lockhart, if you can sell a $300 Lockhart with a $10 a month Game Pass subscription, you will lock people into your box faster than anything has locked into that before. Because now people are invested in paying for a system and a library that just keeps building and building and building and building. It gets better over time. It is already ridiculous and is only getting more ridiculous.
And putting it
how much value is in it.
Putting it bluntly, if you buy more than two or three, depending on your region, Xbox One, Microsoft Studios or Xbox Game Studios games a year, Game Pass pays for itself.
Yeah,
you get them all plus 200 more. So yeah, it's
I still don't see. I just don't think Microsoft's going to take on that much stuff.
I would. Well, this is the human cost of it, right? There will be, if another publisher buys them, everyone in the publishing department at Warner Brothers at the moment is probably going to lose their job, and that's the.
Yeah, but that wouldn't be the biggest part of it all. That'd be a small team.
Yeah,
it's still a shame.
But like I said,
it is a shame.
How many studios did we say they are? 4, 5?
I think there's 6 or so.
But you also have to think that like the publishing arm published some of the best games of last generation on across any platform. Like Mordor, like Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War are both really good games. You got the Batman games that have consistently reviewed well. You know, that publishing team could probably find pretty decent jobs fairly quickly. Honestly, they have the CVs to say, look at all these titles we've got through.
It would be interesting to see.
It'd be great. I'd love to see Microsoft buy them all. I just don't see it happening. And it's not a money thing. Again, it's not the money. $4 billion is nothing to Microsoft if it was $4 billion. It's not the money. But the ongoing cost of employing that many new staff in one hit, it's a big hit. And it's a big hit. I understand the Game Pass argument. I agree. And imagine if they made Mortal Kombat exclusive.
Oh, man.
That'd be even bigger than Street Fighter being exclusive. That'd be
exclusive to Game Pass on PC and console. Just
the biggest money
there's your lockdown right there.
And then Killer Instinct benefits as a result. Because by making Mortal Kombat exclusive, you effectively become the default fighting game platform. which means you get all those extra fighting game sales, which means Killer Instinct gets the attention it deserves. Don't get me wrong. I agree it should happen. I'd love for it to happen. But again, I just do not see Microsoft taking on that many new stuff.
Yeah, and I'm that's a fair objection there. I mean, I'm not going to say that Microsoft should crack open the wallets right friggin' now. I mean, there's obviously like considerations to make in terms of employment costs, but it would be an insane move to make if they really wanted to do it. It would literally crash it would crash Era in like 2 seconds.
Oh yeah.
The news that Microsoft's acquired all these new studios and then someone who was it that peddled the 20 by 2020? Well, there's your 20 by 2020 right there.
Be more than 20.
I told you all it'd be 15. I said it was going to be 15.
Yeah, it's definitely we'll be watching and keeping an ear to the ground with great interest, as I'm sure the entire community in the gaming sphere, journalists, etc. will be. Let's just see what happens.
Let's just hope Activision isn't the one that.
Oh God!
I would rather Sony bought WB Studios than any Activision exec getting their grubby hands all over.
Even EA.
Even EA.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
Activision is just a terrible publisher.
Now I want to talk about. I want to talk about something really serious. All right, and this is pretty important. And that is, what do you have to say for yourself, Nick? What do you have to say for yourself?
Listen,
all right, about Final Fantasy 16.
Meatloaf sang a song once, and that song is called 2 out of 3 Ain't Bad.
Just to provide context, if you didn't tune into the last episode, Nick predicted and had heard, and we'd heard similar things.
No, I didn't predict. I was told. Yeah. I was told Final Fantasy 16. No, sorry. Yes, you're right. On the last episode, I said the Final Fantasy 16 was going to be announced this year, and there was a very good chance it was going to be at Sony's show. On Twitter, I went and opened my big yap and basically confirmed that Final Fantasy 16 was going to be there. Like, my guy said to me, he's like, no, it's happening. I'm like, cool. So I put it out there. I also got told Ratchet was happening. Now, Ratchet did happen. I put it out on Twitter as well.
And
also got told Resident Evil 8 was happening. That also happened. So to be fair to me, 2 out of 3 ain't that bad.
And
almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, Nick. Okay.
Having said that, there is now speculation that Project Athia could be Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah, we just don't
know. Didn't they confirm though? Like someone confirmed that it was not related to Final Fantasy 16 whatsoever. It was its own separate thing.
I don't know. It's been speculated that it might be Final Fantasy 16. And someone made a good point. It might have been in the Discord that why would you hire this very expensive crack team of writers like Gary Whitta to write for this new IP that could bomb or not bomb? But you would hire a crack team of writers for your biggest franchise in Final Fantasy. So, because remember, they take a long time to make their Final Fantasy game. So it could just be that Final Fantasy 16 starts life as Project Athia and then evolves into Final Fantasy 16.
Maybe.
That's what I'm hoping for. But
would you like
historically,
to...
Final Fantasy games got popped out like candy. But I mean,
yeah. I mean, look, I was in a DM with my source who said, "Look, I'm as surprised as you are," and they said to me, "Maybe it's been held onto for August." Maybe that's where Final Fantasy is going to be at the August place, because I think there's rumored to be an August.
That will be
PlayStation
when they
event.
the price, late July, early August.
Yep, I let down the From
yourself.
fans, and now I've let down the Square fans.
Hey, look on the Elden Ring front, Microsoft show in July isn't just first party.
There's going to be third party there.
There's going to be third party there.
I'm not going to say Elden Ring's going to be there.
I reckon
because I know what's going to happen when I say Elden Ring's going to be there. It's not going to be there. So I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah.
I'm going to reverse jinx it and say that Elden Ring will not be at the July show for Microsoft.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I just relay what I am told.
How can we ever trust you again, Nick? How? Explain.
I don't know. Maybe by remembering the other 15 things that I got right and not focus on the two things that I got wrong.
But you got the one thing people wanted wrong, so now you're always wrong.
Yeah, so I'm hoping
That's how that works
people
on Twitter.
see the benefit of the doubt, like they were willing to give other certain insiders the benefit of the doubt, despite horrible track records. I'd like to believe that my track record is better than a few. But what are you going to do? Things change, eh?
Yeah.
Eh,
Things break.
That's true.
Things change.
Things break.
Things break,
Indeed.
as Peter Moore once said.
So, to wrap up the podcast, we'll go into our usual plethora.
Nothing else in the rumour mill?
I don't think so. Nick, I've got written down here Warner Brothers dashboard, Nick's failure. That's it. That's all I had. That's all I had.
Etc. Etc.
Did you have something you wanted to sneak in here? Do you want to risk being the failure again?
Yeah, Nick, you want to risk that?
No.
No?
I've got stuff, but I've been told not to say anything. I've been told not to say anything.
Fair enough.
So
Fair
I'm
enough.
Gonna say.
Well, in that case, we'll hit up with community questions, which is our episodic dive into the minds of our community who want to know what we think about certain topics. And Nick, do you want to head up with the Twitterverse first of all?
No, I'll go with. Can I go with Discord?
You can go with Discord first if you'd like.
Okay. Okay. So our friend Suka Brood asks, do you guys think Sony has kept some surprises for August to one up Microsoft? We were kind of just talking about that. Maybe that's where Final Fantasy is going to be. Now, in terms of surprises, I don't know. We've been saying for a long time that Sony is in money hat mode, and we just saw that because almost everything that wasn't a first-party game at Sony's show was a timed exclusive. So, and I mean, what surprises could they have? Like, we've seen Horizon now, we've seen Ratchet. They don't even seem like they're going to be launch titles. So I don't envision Sony turning around and then announcing stuff that's like 4 and 5 years away. I'm not sure they're going to do that as much anymore. Like, if they were, why money hat all those smaller games?
Yeah.
So
I feel like they
in terms
probably
of surprises, maybe the surprises will be more money hats. Like, maybe that August show is going to be more of a third-party thing.
They just seem to not have really
know.
anything in the pipeline for right now.
Well,
nothing super major.
Let me ask you this: what is PlayStation 5 launching with?
The Spider-Man thing. I don't know what else to call it aside from a thing. What else was there? Kenna. It said holiday 2020. They obviously couldn't give a date if it's supposed to be launched because we don't know the PlayStation 5 launch.
Yep.
There was a few others that were holiday.
Was
I think
the
even
Demon's
Gran
Souls
Turismo.
remake?
Yeah, that might have been as well. It's funny, I got told a while back that with Demon's Souls, and I've never said this on the Rumourmill because I was told not to, but now that it's been announced, I hope I can say whatever the hell I want. So I was told like as far back as like Jan or Feb by my person that they're not even 100% sure Blue Point is making the Demon's Souls remake.
Yeah, was a developer announced for it? Because it was
yes,
Japan Studio.
It
wasn't
was Blue Point, but it was also Japan Studio. So
Interesting.
I'm wondering if that's why my person wasn't sure whether Blue Point was actually doing it, because maybe they had heard about Japan Studio doing it.
Yeah.
But turns out it's a collaboration. But I digress. Yeah, I'm not sure what's for launch. I am praying like hell that Ratchet makes launch because that's the only game I care about. But yeah, I
was
don't know.
it given a
Not-
date?
not a
I
lot
don't
of
think
dates.
it was it?
Nope.
So I think
is
there's going to
disappointing.
definitely be some more money hats, and here's what we're launching.
It'll be money
with.
hats. Yeah,
To
the
go.
surprises are going to be money hats. I reckon they've got some big third-party money hats still up their sleeve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that show was for the smaller money hats, like your Kennas and your little Devil Insides and your whatevers. But I reckon they may have the bigger money hats saved for August. Whether that turns out to be Final Fantasy 16 or not, I don't know. Maybe it's Street Fighter 6. Maybe it's... Who knows? But I don't think there's going to be a hell of a lot of first party in August because they don't really have much first party. That's why all these money hats exist.
Yeah.
So my guess is that the August show is for the price, some other third-party money hats, and maybe maybe the OS. Maybe we see the OS there because did you notice the hint of the OS?
Yeah, the
and it was
thing.
gorgeous. It was
very
so nice. I love that. That looked. If that's how my PS5 boots up, what a juxtaposition between this butt ugly console and this beautiful OS. Like the OS just looks like it could be stunning, and then you gotta look at that gross bit of plastic underneath your TV.
Put a bag over it.
Oh man, it's so gross.
Yeah,
I might stick it in a PC tower with lots of fans in it, just like a better looking PC tower.
Oh dear.
Okay, sorry. Next question. Cartoon Soldier 9. Having seen Sony's event, what is your ideal setup for Microsoft's July event? I don't know. Drop the bomb. $399. Series X. Multiplayer is free. Show Halo. Show Perfect Dark. Show Fable. Show what initiative's working on. Well, I just said Perfect Dark. Sorry, yeah. Show Perfect Dark. Show Fable. Show what Compulsion is doing. Show Hellblade. Show it all. Just show everything. Like, just do what Sony used to do. Show what's 2 or 3 years ahead, because that's the position they've been forced into.
Yeah,
like,
I think, and I'm actually writing a larger piece on this, and I'm probably going to do a video that takes a look at this about what we expect to see from Xbox Game Studios in general. But I think that this is Microsoft now needs to hold nothing back. Like, and I don't mean hold nothing back in the very literal sense of tell us everything you've got in your pipeline for the next half a decade, but I mean finally do what Sony have been doing, which is giving fans of genres what they want. So I'm talking, yes, I reckon you'll open with surprise number 1. Whether it's the initiative first look to really, really boom, kick off the show with a start, and then go around all of the studios that have stuff that's going to be launching in the next 1 to 2 to maybe 2022. Show us everything they're looking on. Either give us a vertical slice or even just an announced trailer at this point. I don't care if it's CG. You need to tell the Xbox consumer base, we are making games that you are going to want to play. Be that Fable, which I expect to see, or whatever, because it's still not... It's pretty discussed that it is Fable.
It's technically not confirmed.
But we don't know, right? If it's another type of RPG, show us it. Give us and I don't mean a quick cut trailer to some obnoxious music. Show us what it feels to play these games with a pad in our hand. Walk us through a segment, right? Same for Halo, which I expect to close the show. I want to see them announce the gold drop. I want to see them tell us that xCloud is launching, is included in Game Pass, and is blah 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 blah. I want to see them say, we if you've acquired more studios, say it. If you've money hatted games, be clear in your language. I don't want to see this ambiguous nonsense where we have to find everything out after the fact. I want to see a Microsoft that has been thus far, bar the minor stumble with Inside Xbox in May, which now looking back at it off the PS5 event wasn't that much of a stumble at all. I have a feeling that they're going to drop the bomb and give us the moment that I think the PS5 reveal missed, which was the, oh my god, like the I can't believe that's a game, and I think that's going to be Halo.
I don't know, like. I think we spoke about this before we went on air, but now that I've got this new TV, I've gone back and watched a hell of a lot of trailers in 4K, and this TV's got HDR, it's got the whole lot, and man, I watched the most recent Halo trailer, Discover Hope, is it called?
Yeah,
Discover Hope or something like that. I watched that in 4K, and Jesus, like, I cannot believe
the amount of detail.
How good that? No, but it's not just that. It's the physical based rendering.
It's also the aesthetic cohesion too. Everything looks just, Halo.
Yeah.
To me that looked better than everything we just saw at Sony's show. Like, and I at the time I'd never seen it in 4K. I'd only seen it on garbage 1080 YouTube.
This is probably a
videos and
very
stuff.
big exaggeration, but honestly, when I first saw the Discover Hope trailer in 4K HDR, like all that
Oh,
bells and whistles right on
man.
my TV, right? That looked like what people imagined Halo CE would have looked like at the time.
Yep.
And that is just insane to me that we're finally getting to a point where we can get the games that look like we thought games were at the time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
If and again, remember, technically, we don't know that that's exactly what Halo's going to look like. That could be a bullshot, pre-rendered video, whatever. But I swear, if Halo Infinite does end up looking like that, or at least close, man, that is... And honestly, after seeing the Unreal Engine 5 demo, I am now convinced that Hellblade will pretty much look like that as well.
Yeah.
Like its trailer. And even that looked ridiculous. That looked real.
Yeah.
That Hellblade basically looked real. And yeah, after seeing that Unreal Engine 5 demo, I reckon that's how Hellblade's going to look. And those two combined, I don't see a hell of a lot getting close to that. That's some unbelievable
I'm pretty
stuff.
bullish, and I personally think that what we saw with Discover Hope wasn't just the ideal scenario. I think that is what the game is going to look like, and I think we did see, if you look at the trailer where he boots up and you see the HUD and everything, I think that's how the game's going to look. Now,
it was so clean and so
we'll
nice.
find out, and that's what's exciting, guys, right? So put it in episode terms. You've got a maximum, really, of 2 more episodes of this podcast. You've got 2 weeks from now is the end of June, and then you've got 1 more in July. At some point between those, we're going to see everything. And I firmly believe that Microsoft are going to take this opportunity and they are going to drop their microphone. And they are going to walk
I
out
think
of
now
there.
that they've seen,
And have you ever seen
now that they've seen Sony's show,
the classic meme with the guy walking with his girlfriend, and there's a very attractive lady walking past, and he's turned his head. We're going to see it. To quote that awful show that is Love Island, there's going to be some turned heads. All right, people are going to be going, okay, so wait. I get that included in my subscription for less than the PlayStation 5. With xCloud built in, I can play it anywhere, and it's just the value proposition is just gonna grow. Super excited. I think it's gonna be cool. But yeah, I think that answers that question pretty firmly, right?
I think so. I don't even remember what the question was. Oh yeah, the ideal setup. Yeah.
It's gonna be.
They should also show if they've got any big money hats, because remember we've been talking about Sony's money hats. That doesn't mean Microsoft doesn't have any.
There's gonna be publishing deals.
They just might not have the sheer volume Sony has, but that doesn't mean they're not money hatting. I mean, we've already seen Medium, Scorn,
the only one out of that I would argue is Scorn, right? I am fine, absolutely fine from a business point of view for publisher A to approach developer B that is not owned by them, because that's Xbox Game Publishing Studios' job to go and find partnerships, right? We will give you X amount of cash, build your game. These games are pitched to Microsoft, and Microsoft get to say yay or no. What I am not okay with, and I don't think any consumer should be okay with, is a game being shown, announced for multiple platforms, or at least from a publishing or developer studio that can and easily afford to publish on multiple platforms, only for the rug to be pulled out and it not to come. Microsoft did it with Tomb Raider. It was, and I'm going to swear, it's bullshit then. It's bullshit now, and we shouldn't stand for it.
Street Fighter 6, Street Fighter 5.
Yeah, Tomb Raider. I hate it. I get it from a business point of view, but I hate it. I'm fine with partnerships. We're going to pay you to develop a game just for us. Fine. But a game that's already there, Scorn, little indie dev. All right, I will let that one go because it was announced.
Well, yeah, and I'm
gameplay.
fine with it if it was a game that wouldn't have existed otherwise. So
also fine.
If you look at a game like Bayonetta 2 and 3, they literally would not have existed had Nintendo not funded them. Yeah. They just weren't going to happen, flat out.
But paying, and we've seen it with Destiny, with content for Destiny. We've seen it with content. All of it's been done. I believe Phil has come out publicly and said we won't do that crap anymore. Let's see how good he is to his word, because he's kept his word on everything else. I'm fine with partnerships, but that's the distinction. Don't give a Bethesda a check to not make the game or not release the game on the platform for a year. That's just saying we don't have content ourselves, so we just
it's scummy.
Get out of here. Anyway, sorry, getting a bit passionate at the end here. Waking up, the coffee's kicking in. Let's go.
Next question from BSIG. Do you think Microsoft holds anything for Gamescom opening night live? Yeah. Probably not. Especially if our dream comes true and September becomes the release date for the Series X. Gamescom's like August. It's like a month before.
Yeah.
I don't know. And traditionally, Gamescom the last couple of years has basically just received E3 trailers.
Yeah.
Here's
my theory. If Microsoft don't, like I say, might drop a Halo Infinite multiplayer beta of some sorts on their July show, you could say in the July show, here's Halo Infinite's campaign. Wow, we're going to blow your mind. You want to see multiplayer? Tune in Gamescom opening night live. I can see that kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe.
Right, because then it gives us something else to look forward to. We've already had the big taste. Now we want to see all the different flavours that are available. I can see something like that, but I leaning more towards what you were saying, where we're probably not. I think Microsoft are going to own their conversation very carefully in this lead up to launch. But I do expect to see another event in August if they don't announce price on the July show. If they do announce price, you can be guaranteed they know they're cheaper than Sony. Or at the least they've matched it.
They probably already know that. The fact that Sony didn't announce anything, they probably already know that.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Proven. Our friend Proven. We've basically already gone over this. I believe the PS5 digital was made just so they can have a price battle with MS. The question is, do you think this means the PS5 ends up being over $500, or will the PS5 be $499 while the digital is at $450 or lower? We've spoken about this. I reckon $499 for the digital and either $549, $599 for the disc-based version. Because I'll tell you right now, if the PS5 was $399, we would have heard about it just then.
Yeah.
We would have heard about it. Because there'd be no reason not to... Sony already has the mindshare. They already have the momentum. They already have everything. What would be the purpose of holding on to that $399 if you've got it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Unless the argument is that they're waiting. Oh no, that still doesn't make sense because the disc-based version, would most likely be. Yeah, the disc-based version would most likely be $499 anyway, even if the digital was less.
Yeah.
So either way, there'd be no reason for them to hold on to the price, which just tells me that it's $499 for the digital.
Indeed.
I don't know.
Yeah.
For the sake of my wallet, I hope I'm wrong. I'd like it to be cheaper. I've pre-ordered it already. I'm buying it. I'm locked in.
I just keep mentally going back to that whole one is a problem, the other's a rounding error thing.
Yeah, and that's what
that statement always. That statement is just such a great line, honestly.
Regardless of what I think of Yikes, in the end, he'd know. He was there at the time when all that sort of stuff would have already been set in stone. So yeah,
indeed.
Next question. Again, we've kind of already gone over this. Soul Blazers, probably already talked about by this point. Yep, we have. But what do you guys think is the minimum Xbox needs to show to be a better showing than the PS5 one?
We think we've covered that. Similar to Suki's.
Cartoon Soldier again. What was your favorite part about the PS5 event? Should Microsoft also have a digital-only version of Xbox Series X? Why didn't Aaron reply to your June news tweet? Okay, first part, we talked about it. What was our favorite part about PS5?
Yeah.
Definitely wasn't the look of the console. Should Microsoft also have a digital-only version? Yes, they should. I'm hoping they do.
I'm hoping Lockhart is that digital-only choice, honestly.
No. Yeah. I want a digital Series X.
Next year.
I want... Yeah.
Next gen.
No, I don't want to wait that long.
next year.
I'm not going to buy any discs.
You
for
sound like
Series X.
you sound like a
don't
disappointed
wanna
kid.
wait that
I don't
long.
want it now.
Yeah,
I
but-
want it no. I
like-
want.
Like seriously, let's be honest. How many discs are going to be bought for the Series X? When you've got Game Pass and all that sort of stuff and all the backwards compatibility, how many discs are people realistically going to buy for the Series X?
It doesn't matter so much as the optics do. I mean, saying you have one of the best systems in the world and it is disc-based first and
but just do a
foremost, that's
discless
good
version.
optics.
Just do a discless version then.
What would you do?
Like,
if,
it's not hard.
What would you do if Lockhart was cheaper but was the same specs, and we've all been hoodwinked?
Well, that's what I'm saying. If Lockhart turns out to be the discless Series X, then Lockhart's the greatest thing ever, and that's what I'm going to buy.
Fair enough.
But that's only if Lockhart
You know
turns
what?
out to be the discless Series
I
X.
forgot to mention this earlier. Just quick, small tangent. Lockhart, the name, right? I don't know why, and I don't know if anyone's thought about this, but it popped into my brain. They had the project. They had the Anaconda, and they had Lockhart. Anaconda is big, powerful, imposing. Right? That's what I sensed from that name. Lockhart.
Yes.
I guess I just really lock the heart of your consumers. That's how I read it. It's like it's the lovable, cheap, and that's where I think that code name comes from, which is why I think all the rumors are true and that it's definitely going to be a lower powered, affordable console. But yeah, I don't know if anyone ever gave that any thought before, the whole actual code name itself, locking the heart.
I never
of
want
your
to think about
consumers,
that console myself.
I don't know. Anyway, yeah.
That seems too on the nose there a little bit.
I don't know. It just popped into my brain. I know Cartoon Soldier asked another question. Did we answer
They said,
both
why
there?
didn't Aaron reply to your June news tweet?
I don't know.
I assume that's our the XboxEra Twitter account.
Yeah,
Right?
so to provide some context to this, VG247 released an article saying the event had been pushed back to August. Now, the event they were actually talking about was the rumoured June Jeff
one.
Grubb Summer Game Mess Xboxing Day, which I presumed was Xbox IGN and was a deliberate play on words because I believe it was something in partnership with IGN. It was meant to happen this week, just gone. It was delayed because of all of the uproar and protests with over George Floyd. I expect to see that this coming week, and we'll put something up if that happens. But yeah, he then responded because obviously that headline on its own, without reading the meat of the article, was purporting that the July event had been postponed to August, which is not the case. It's the July event, it's still the July event. So he replied, was like, not happening, we're still going. And I was like, well, yeah, but what they're actually referring to is the June event. Here's a tweet where you said the June event is not an event as such, but it will be something a bit different. Is that still happening? And we did not get a response. Aaron, why don't you love us? We'll see.
I'm going to hold my tongue on what I was about to say.
Oh,
I was going to say something, but I'm not going to say something.
but I know there was
Because it'd be rude.
there was an additional question from Cartoon Soldier, wasn't there?
Was it?
I'm sure there was. I'm
No.
sure I read it. Something about you.
No.
It was a Starlatine type question.
That's someone else. I was about to ask it now. Don Cabeza, second time, short time. Now that Nick is a fraud due to getting Final Fantasy 16 wrong, is the label of insider passed solely to sick? No.
Amazing.
Don Cabasa
I'm not a
asking
fraud.
the important questions.
I'm not a fraud.
No, I'm showing fraudulent tendencies myself. So
I'm not a fraud. And it's funny. My source in the DM that we're in was like, "I'm so sorry." I'm like,
it happens.
"What do you do?" And they said to me, "They like, now you see why I don't want to be public. I don't want to be a face of anything because look at the crap you cop when stuff goes wrong or when stuff changes or."
It's
I
important
knew
to bear
that
in
when I took
mind.
this on. What do you do?
Yeah, it's important
What
to
do you
bear in
do?
mind the majority of the time when someone says something's happening and it's not public information, the very likelihood is that someone is breaking an NDA somewhere. And a lot of people don't want to do that. So if you're seeing loads of rumors and they gather steam from multiple sources, someone's been piping up when they shouldn't. It's interesting. It's an interesting thing that people do. I guess people like releasing stuff, but it's great to be on that side and hear things, because we try and not, as Nick said, we don't tell who our sources are for information, and we try and talk it through and verify what we can. But it's a fun tightrope act to juggle, right? Anyway, what else have we got? We got anything else in there from Discord? Negative. In that case, we can head to the Twitterverse. What have we got?
Hold on.
Have we got the Twitterverse open? I can get it open if we need to be. Presumed you were prepared, Nick. You look like you're focused. What are you doing? What are you doing?
I'm doing something. I think my recording has stopped.
Oh dear.
Hold on.
Panic stations.
Yep. Hold on.
Right, whilst we're doing that,
okay. No, I've hopefully got it now.
Okay.
Okay, I'll go with the Twitter questions.
Shoot.
My microphone fell out. I don't know how, but my microphone fell out. So.
Oh, what, out of the USB port?
Yep.
Dope.
So, who knows how that's going to affect the recording, but we're going to find out.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Okay, so on Twitter, I've got our friend Jay Singh, who I think is now aware that Nick and Shpeshal Ed are the same person. He said, also, when will be the July event? Early, late, or mid? I think there's been rumors that it's either going to be late or early, not in between, apparently. I don't know. I'm hoping for early, so we don't have to wait long.
Let's place a bet. Let's place a bet. Place your bets on a date.
I'm guessing early.
Let's pick a date. Pick a day. I think it will be.
Got a calendar.
I think it will be on Sunday, the 12th of July.
That's a very, very specific date.
That's a guess.
I feel like there might be something deeper to that.
Nope.
When was the May one?
It was on a Thursday.
Monday, the 6th of July.
Okay. What about you, Cairo? Pick a day.
I'm going to have to go Monday, the 6th of July, but I'm also going to say at 2 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
2 a.m.?
Going with the time as well.
2 a.m.?
No, sorry, 2 p.m.
2 p.m.
My bad.
Okay.
2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Okay.
God, 2 a.m. would be great for me. Because I'd have it nice in the afternoon. My time would be awesome.
There you go. All right.
Okay. Next question is also by Jay Singh. Will there be a Sony event in August? Because I'm sure they have some more things in store. Or are they done, and how will Microsoft counter it? And then he's attached a rumor, which I think is a post from somewhere.
Yeah.
And the rumor basically talks about the fact that someone's got sources that says that the PS5 is more expensive. We've basically already speculated about that.
Yeah,
I'm fairly confident it's going to be at a minimum the same, if not more, for the high-end SKU.
Yeah.
I think. Because, got news for you, folks. You can't sit there and cream your jocks over the SSD and the Tempest engine and all these other amazing things that the PS5 has, but then expect it to be $399. Doesn't work that way.
Nope.
Anyway.
They're hyping up these amazing features for a reason.
Oh yeah, these the SSD is game changing and industry revolutionizing, and the Tempest engine
it's the same language. It's the same language they used to advertise the Blu-ray player and the original PS3
and the cell. And you can't. And notice how Jim Ryan is speaking very similarly to how they did back in the PS3 days, talking about value, not just being in the price. Anyway.
Indeed.
Next question from Vinny UK. Halo Infinite can only have 3 multiplayer maps from previous games. This is a hypothetical.
Oh, I like it. Okay.
Which three would you each pick?
Oh, Vinny.
Okay.
That's a damn good question, sir.
from previous
It's gonna
games.
take
I
forever,
assume
though.
that includes.
I don't even
assume that
know all the
includes
Halo maps.
5.
Yeah. Okay.
I
Brace
assume
yourselves.
that's,
2 more hours of podcast. Let's go.
Yeah. I'll be quick because I'm not a Halo map aficionado, and my choices are probably ones that other people don't like. Beaver Creek,
Solid choice.
Haven,
Okay.
and because I'm a SWAT player, Adrift from Halo 4.
There's 2 maps from Halo 4 in there.
Well, yeah, Haven is in like 5 and 4,
It
so
is
yeah,
in-
technically.
The remake
yeah.
in 5 was really
Yeah,
nice.
I'm a SWAT player, so I like my smaller, tighter maps. And Battle Creek is an absolute classic, or Beaver Creek, Battle Creek, same thing. They're my 3.
What about you, Kara? I'll save myself till last.
Beaver Creek, because it's one of the best CTF maps ever made in Halo.
Yep.
I can't remember what it's called. Blood Gulch, the giant valley with 2
Blood
bases at the end.
Gulch slash
That's also
Valhalla
really also really good for big team CTF. Crap. And what was that one? It was the map that was like a base in a snowy area, like situated on the side of a cliff.
Yeah.
Oh.
Avalanche?
I was about to say starts with A, doesn't it?
Avalanche
Is it Avalanche?
Is Halo CE map. No, Avalanche is the Halo 3 version. You got the 2 bases on the side of the cliff. It's a horseshoe. There's Gravlift thing in the middle. Gravlift.
No, not that one. Not that one. No, not that one. No,
I know the one you're
it's the one in
talking about.
Halo 2.
Oh.
Snow map in Halo 2.
Snow map in Halo 2. The base is like floating over empty space.
Containment.
And there's a sniper perch off one end.
Yeah.
Where the sniper spawns, and there's I think there's an invisibility on
BTB map.
You're talking about the Halo 3 one where it goes underground and stuff.
It's not a BTB map. It's a Slayer map.
A snow map from Halo 2. Vinny, you're going to have to educate me when you listen to this on Twitter, because I can't remember it off the top of my head. If it comes to me, I'll shout.
I can't remember it either.
But
those 3.
From my perspective, if I was to take maps from previous Halo games and rework them for however Infinite will play...
Lockout. You're going to say Lockout?
No, I hate Lockout. Vinny will Vinny will hate me for saying that, but Lockout is a piece of map, and it's overrated, all right? And also, Vinny, I'll still beat you in that 1v1 on Lockout. Yes, I know you were suffering from an allergic reaction to cats, but suck it up. Beat you fair and square. I've never seen him. He was like,
wait, what?
That's so random.
It's a long-winded. It's a long-winded
so
LAN party tale. Vinny is pretty good at Halo, and that's probably understating it. And I'm looking forward to getting back to making montages with him when Infinite drops. But I had a LAN party. Vinny needed a pillow. I had this massive red pillow. I didn't realise that my cats had been sleeping all over it, so it had like a subtle fur, and Vinny didn't realise either, and after a lot of beer he crashed one night, woke up in the morning, and we were having a 1v1, and I absolutely, and it's very rare for this to have ever happened, I was on it, I was awake, I'd slept well, trounced him on it. I've never seen him say again so quickly. But yeah, it was good fun. But anyway, the maps.
Good fun. He was having an allergic reaction.
It's the only way I could beat him. It was the only way I could beat him. The maps I would pick would be Pit Stop from Halo 3. That's the adjusted version of the pit without the spawns up top. Definitely my all-time, probably, favourite Slayer map in general. But an all-rounder from a symmetry point of view. In the BTB camp, I would love a little standoff, maybe. A little standoff in my... And probably from the Halo 2 days, I would say maybe something like burial mounds, or I'd love to see what a revisited version of Valhalla would look like in Infinite. But I think those would probably be around my 3, something like that. But yeah,
you know what'd be cool? It'd be cool if this is kind of a small tangent. Let's not dwell on this for too long. But 343 should look into making Halo Infinite like a best of the best multiplayer suite from previous Halo games. just get all the really good fan favorite maps from previous games and throw them in Infinite.
I would kind of agree with you, but until we fully understand how Halo Infinite plays, you can't look at Halo 5. You can't put just a Halo 2 or Halo 3 map in that game because you could fly across it in half a second with all the abilities and stuff.
Well, I mean, there was that leaked screen or whatever it was that alpha footage or whatever that had a grappling hook. So if a grappling hook turned out to be in Halo Infinite, there's a lot of maps that suddenly can't work if you have a grappling hook, let's say.
Yeah, it would be weird, and that's the thing. Until I understand how the game plays, I'm cagey on really saying whether maps should be remade, because it kind of worked in the jump from Halo 2 to Halo 3, but it kind of didn't work on the jump from Halo 3 to Halo 5, for example. But that's a whole... I could talk about Halo for days, and when Halo Infinite releases, we're going to have a podcast all about it. It's going to be great one day in the near future. What's next?
From Daniel, which is Daniel M. This is a weird one, and I think we've kind of covered it. Halo Infinite at launch alongside Forza Motorsport 8 with teasers of Fable Perfect Dark plus Hellblade to June 2021, with Fable releasing late 2021. Thoughts? Also smaller indie AA games scattered throughout the year. I think he's sort of talking about a release slate.
Yeah, I think he's talking about the July show. What we're going to see. Is that everything? I would say yeah.
No. I think he's talking about that being the release slate for the first year, basically.
Yeah, I could see it.
I don't know if they'll cram all of that into the first year. I don't know if they would put Hellblade, Fable, and Perfect Dark alongside a bunch of other stuff all in the first 12 months of launch. It'd be cool.
2 is probably going to be a 2022 thing,
in
my opinion.
I would have thought.
Yeah.
And I think Fable is going to be 2022 or later.
I think Fable's 2021, but
yeah,
I think it'll be next Christmas game. That's my opinion.
Maybe. Forza Motorsport 8.
I don't see.
Guess this year.
I don't see.
No, you don't think
without
this
a racing. No, I don't. I don't see them launching without a racing game. It's It's your quintessential. Look how pretty this thing is. Game.
Yeah, and you heard Charisma on our last episode. Like Turn 10 is probably Microsoft's most efficient team.
Yeah.
And they have now been making a Forza Motorsport game for a long time. I'd be very surprised if we don't see it at launch.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Okay, Brandon, B-Man923. Yes, let's go. Can't wait. After Sony's show, what do you expect from Xbox to respond with?
Yeah, we've covered that extensively.
Sorry, Brandon, we've covered that. Next guy. Okay, his handle is I don't know dude, but his actual Twitter name is at Placatzel1. I hope I got that right. What are the possibilities of the Series X having timed exclusives at launch?
We've covered that too.
Likely.
Covered it. Probably likely. I mean, we kind of saw them in the May show, a couple of them. I think some of them were supposed to be Holiday 2020 or whatever that was.
I think looking at the Twitter questions, all of these are around that, and I think we've covered it all extensively.
Last one is Magic _casts.
Mm-hmm.
Of all the big first-party titles fans are expecting to see in July from Xbox Game Studios, Halo, Fable, Hellblade, etc., what would you say is the minimum number of titles they need to show to build enough hype? I don't know if there is a minimum. Like, if they only show 3, but those 3 look unbelievable and it's proper gameplay and all that sort of stuff, I don't think it matters that it's only 3. I don't know if, like, where they could show 10 and all of them are just CG trailers or just a logo and everyone's like, oh, is that it? I think it's more about what's being shown and how it's being shown as opposed to the number, like how many things. I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah. I'm inclined to agree. I think, as I've said, they need to slam dunk this.
Yeah, they have to. They can't have another stumble.
From a mindshare point of view, they have been really good, really consistent. Small hiccup that now looking back in reflection, comparing it to the PS5 event, not so bad.
Yeah.
Smash this. Like
Sony's left the door open.
I want Phil to be like at the end of it, just
Sony's left the door open. They need to kick that door open now.
Yeah, kick it open, and let's get back. Let's get back to it. We've got one additional question, and I think Reset has been obviously all of a tizzy with all the PlayStation stuff and all of the Warner Brothers rumours and things like that. One question I think I found in the thread, in the OT, from Delroy. What are our thoughts on the various terms and language used to describe exclusives during the PS5 event? For example, designed for PlayStation 5. Yeah,
that one
Xbox in a
was
year.
the bad one.
Console exclusive, etc. Xbox has used similar terminology in the past. Do you think they'll continue to do so? Is part one of his question. I hope that Microsoft are more transparent with it and say exclusive. And when asked, they're like, 1 year.
I mean, Microsoft has always been about like getting that friggin' guy on the screen going world premiere.
Yeah.
Exclusive.
I like him. It wouldn't be an E3 without him. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
We should find out who that guy is.
I think Microsoft has already been very transparent about a lot of things recently. I think Sony is the one that's just doing it, like masking it and saying after the show, no.
2013 reversed.
Yeah.
2013 being reversed.
Yeah.
Got the big box that's more expensive and weaker. It's 2013 reversed. It just keeps on going.
Oh man.
We never really thought this would happen, to be honest, didn't we? We always thought, like, we came into the whole hype cycle in terms of like the community, the Era community itself. We came into the hype cycle thinking this will be a slaughterfest. Sony's gonna kill it out there because they already have the momentum for PS4. There's nothing they can do to screw this up. And consistently, we keep saying they're doing the same dumb things Microsoft did.
Well, that was exactly the conversation from the 360 gen. There's no way Microsoft can screw this up. They've got this in the bag.
And the funny thing is, we've got time till launch, right? I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that Sony may still have a TV moment. They did not show a media remote for nothing.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
There's a reason they showed a media remote. And I suspect that reason is still coming.
Oh, dear.
But we'll see.
And then part two of Delroy's question is the PlayStation 5 Digital Edition is interesting. What are we looking at for price and how will it impact Lockhart? I think we've covered that fairly extensively if you've been listening, Delroy. But and that brings community questions to a close. I don't think out of memory here that there's anything else that we've failed to cover today.
I hope not. But I want to bring up one more thing about that media remote.
Go on.
Go back to the PS2, go back to the PS3, go back to the PS4. Has Sony ever revealed a media remote at the same time they've revealed their box? Or even accessories for that matter? There is a reason. So Sony's been trumpeting the Tempest engine and 3D audio. They showed headphones. They've been trumpeting the DualSense and all the amazing things. So they showed the DualSense, they showed its charging station. They did not show that media remote for nothing. Why would you show a remote control of all the accessories you could have shown?
When you've got a pad that does
Why would you need to... Yeah, well, I assume it can be operated by voice.
It's got a mic
Why
built
would
into
you
it.
need to show that very specific media remote, which also had a TV button on it, which means it's probably going to try and act like a universal remote? Why would you need to show that remote if you don't have those kinds of plans? And I think in the last couple of years, there's been interviews with Sony where they're talking about having media content as well, about developing shows or movies or something like that, wasn't there? Like a year or two ago?
Yeah.
They were talking about doing something like that.
I remember hearing about that.
That media remote was shown for a reason.
Sony Pictures.
And they could very much have their TV moment. It still could be coming. I mean, at least they haven't led with it.
Yeah.
Which was the stupidity. That's where they've learned the lesson from Microsoft. They didn't lead with that. But I still reckon they're going to bring it up.
Lead with that. That'd be 2013 all over again.
I still reckon they're going to bring it up. I don't see why you'd show that remote.
I don't think they'll probably have a TV moment, but I don't think they're going to do a DRM moment like Microsoft did, because that was the other big shoot in the foot moment.
Well, they have their DRM moment. It's the digital edition console. That is their DRM.
Yeah, that's true. In a way,
it's a digital only console. So
digital only in a crappy way, where you have to pay PS Plus to get cloud saves, and you can't share titles between.
And can you imagine, like, it's a digital-only console, and can you imagine if their backwards compatibility isn't up to scratch and, like, half your digital PS4 library doesn't work on it?
I'd be pissed, because I plan on selling my PS4 to get the PS5.
I already sold my PS4 and went full digital. So, yeah. I don't know what I'm going to do there. I'm not sure which SKU I'm going to take.
Interesting times.
To be honest.
Good luck.
I don't know.
So yeah, we'll wrap this one up. We've tipped over that 2.5 hour mark. So just in closing, thank you everyone for listening. If you're on Spotify or any other podcast service of choice, watching if you're on YouTube. If you do watch us or you listen to the podcast, if you're on Spotify particularly and you don't ever watch or tune into our YouTube channel, please take a couple of minutes out to go over there and give us a sub. Help us hit that next milestone of 10,000 this year. I doubt it, but it's really, really cool that it's growing in such a crazy way. And we look forward
it's insane
to
think we've only been doing this for a little less than a year.
11 months.
We're already at 1,000.
I said we'd hit 1,000 before we hit a year, and we've just done it. So I'm very, very pleased, and it's super cool for us to be able to do this.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, you're all
Thanks,
awesome,
everyone.
all of you, except those that just listen and don't click subscribe. Then you suck. Go click the
subscribe. Please subscribe. Give us comments on the YouTube channel. Let us know if there's anything you want to hear us talk about or anything we can improve. And share among your friends.
Absolutely.
And colleagues. Let them know we exist.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It is good stuff. But yeah, on that note, we will see you all next time. You can expect, and you should expect, a live stream for the July show. We'll be here live on all platforms, Twitch, YouTube, everything
Mixer.
in between. Yeah, Mixer, that exists, right?
Hopefully this time I'm not getting up at 1 a.m. for nothing.
No, it won't be for nothing. And we'll do a live show for when that drops. But between now and then, thank you.
And, sorry, we may also have a special guest on the next episode too. One we've already had before.
Yeah. Or we might have a guest that we haven't had yet before.
Yeah, maybe.
We've got a couple of guests.
We may have a clash.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to sort that out.
We'll find out. But yeah, we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, folks.
All right.
Ciao for now.
Later.